Yeah, a little plug for the water. Okay, guys, we are up.
All right, cool.
What is going on? Long time. It's been a while
It has
since
been
our
a while.
last one.
Yeah, it's been a while. How long's it been? Like 4 months now? No. That long? Feels like that long.
It might have been that long.
Yeah.
It's been
The
some
carpet,
time.
or I mean, the carpet. I said the carpet.
It was
The
black.
curtain changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curtain changed. We got a red
Nice.
curtain now.
It's nice.
I think I'm going to change
It
my
pops.
background too and
I like
mix
your
it up.
sign though. It's nice, and then
Thank you.
you got it. The cash.
Gotta have cash. Come on.
So good.
It just makes the whole
Yeah.
shot.
It's
Nice.
cool. It's very cool.
So, should we talk about, I guess, opening up, should we talk about the flaming pile of shit on your guys' internet doorway?
Bring it.
That is the
bring it. Let's do this.
that's the the story these days, right?
Oh, you mean how the leftist activists in this community had the audacity to use our website to get a resolution signed by the supervisors to get resources from the state? Is that where we want to go with this?
I think that's where we should
I
open
mean,
up.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what I saw.
Right.
I mean, it
It's
just
like,
bam,
go
bam,
on.
bam, and their supervisors never contacted us.
Yeah.
Nobody reached out to you guys and said
Never.
anything.
Only
Never.
the media that they
Straight to
released
resolutions.
it to, the media who obviously has it out for us anyway, because we're their competition. Though, okay, we don't rank there quite yet. We're brand new. What are we,
Right.
6 months old? Not even.
Right.
So of course they're gonna do what they can to slander, Mr. Creekmore here.
Well,
you know?
they pretended like we
Yeah.
didn't exist for the longest time
Right.
until they couldn't do that anymore. And
Yeah.
then, and the weird thing too is if you read their article, the tone of their article is that, or like their take home message is that we got on to our own list and made this comment on our list and then left it there knowing in
Never.
advance that Ryan Burns was going to write an article about us.
Yeah.
And
thanks, Ryan, for
and
the
that
clicks,
yeah,
bud.
and that
Appreciate
Steve
it.
and that Steve Madrone's gonna make a resolution and opine about how hatred's bad. The whole thing's just so weird. It's the
It is. It was
like
just really convenient for
Yeah.
the people who are getting all these resources.
and
That's what I can't ignore.
Yeah.
I can't ignore it.
Yeah, it's like,
When
dude.
I just put out another article about perception, division, and hate. I wrote one a couple months ago about this misconception that we all hate each other. I don't hate anybody I disagree with politically. I don't hate anything. I hate some of their actions. I don't like their processes, but I don't hate anybody. So this idea that we hate people is just promoted over and over and over again by this leftist media. And so what I did on this particular article is I pointed it out. It's like, well, from now on, every time someone threatens to kill one of us or tells us to take our own lives or kill our children, these are things that happen in our inboxes. We'll go ahead and send that to the Human Rights Commission and see if we can get any resources.
Yeah, we need
Where
a
are
rapid
resources?
response.
We need a rapid response immediately.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that. I'm
Ex-
used to being trolled, dude. I delete it and move on with my life because I have emotional maturity.
Now hold on though. If I were to start identifying as a woman and then go and get surgery, then I could. That would be when that's when I could that's when I deserve a rapid response.
Definitely.
But as a heteronormative man with 3 boys and a wife I've been married to for 15 years, no, I don't deserve rapid responses when when our family's threatened or something. It's a crazy world, dude.
My apologies. I had to open the door. I'm over here sweating like a pig.
It's all good.
Now that I'm without Andy, all the technical issues, so I was in here ramping stuff up. I've been having some camera issues the past couple podcasts. So I was trying to get everything dialed right before you guys came in, and it's nice outside.
It's so
It
nice.
is beautiful today.
Were you guys surprised that comment drew this much attention? Did you guys see the comment before Lost Coast Outpost said anything or wrote the
No.
article?
Nope.
Nope.
Was anybody actively monitoring what you guys sent off, or you just
There's only
scheduled
4
it?
of us, and,
Yeah.
and Donnie was out of town, and Donnie is the website creator. He's the backlog. He's the admin. I don't know how to do any of that takedown stuff. I can write stuff and submit stuff, but
And so you had
Yeah.
it set up to automatically just
Yeah.
forward everything that was filled out in the comment section down there.
Right. So the way it works is at change.org, for example, it's the same way. So and the way the way this really kind of boils down to is a story. So a gentleman reached out to us after having his petition taken down off of change.org. Right. It was a petition that was literally almost a mirror of the language that's in this petition with some stuff I've added to it too, and some formatting and stuff. And so when his got taken down, it was because of violating some kind of community standards, is what we were told by some screenshot. And we didn't see it violating any community standards. We saw that he was being critical of the LGBTQT community for having and hosting and holding all age drag shows. And so when we went to go make our petition section, he didn't have an account on our website. And so he was just like, just publish it. Like, I'm not really, he wasn't worried about being the author, you know what I mean? And so I just published it under myself and put it out there, and it started gaining some signatures. We just threw it on some social media. We haven't tried to really like promote it, guerrilla style or anything like that yet. It's just been kind of like just basically I looked at it as an opportunity. Like, okay, there's people in the community that are trying to get a petition on change.org. They're not allowing that petition. I can allow the community to have this space on my website, which we, look at the First Amendment as something that's a little bit more important than change.org, I assume. And so that's what happened. And so that, and so the petition goes up there and it gets all these signatures. It gets like something like 60 something. And this guy or gal or whoever logs on there and leaves. They actually left four different signatures. But the way that it's set up is those will all log in the back end in the database, but it only shows you one. Because I don't want it to show you more than one actual legit signature if the person's putting the same names and the same characters, the same email, right? And so they put that up there the first time. The second time they misspelt something, and that's why you could actually see on the front end them explaining that, hey, I'm sorry that I made this hateful email or hateful signature on there. I didn't mean for it to go so big. I wanted to make some conversation about hate or whatever their excuse was, And so the fascinating thing, though, was like, and I'm so glad that I did this, is when I set it up, it was like, would you like to collect IP addresses? And I was like, I guess. I mean, it's a feature. I like features. Let's turn that feature on. It was literally like I just like features. I like levers. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, lever on. Cool. You know what I mean? Oh, look at that. I'm collecting IP addresses.
It's more data.
Yeah, it's just more data. Like, cool. I don't know what if I'm ever going to do with this. Maybe it's a way I can like validate the signatures or something.
Localize the signatures.
Yeah, because it was like this app that I'm using in the back of the website. And so I was like, cool, I'll collect IP addresses. And I'm so happy that I did that now, because after we went and deleted it, and I was going to make this write the article and reply to Ryan, I was trying to communicate with them via email, and they wouldn't even communicate back with me. I mean, I was a little bit snarky, but so was their article. You know what I mean? Like, what do you expect as a reply? But still, yeah, I was trying to
4-hour turnaround. He emailed you, and then he published the article.
Yeah.
So this was all. It's just so suspect.
Well, it said in the article that he reached out and you didn't respond for comment, right? Is how he framed it.
Yeah, because he did. He reached out and I didn't respond to comment because I wasn't like checking my phone or my computer while I was like not around, and hanging out with my family. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you don't. I don't know. When I make a promise, I make a promise. So I was like, I'm not going to do that.
So for people that don't know, this started with you had this petition up on your website.
Right.
It automatically sends off what people say with their signature to the board of supervisors.
Right.
Somebody filled out one of those with just kind of a troll racist message of like white supremacy,
basically how they perceive all of us,
right,
when they don't know us at all.
Yeah, there's like kill black people. It said something
just
like
a bunch
ridiculous.
Just a bunch of crazy
hatred.
Stuff.
Yeah,
it doesn't even need to be repeated. It was
exactly. It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And so Lost Coast then sees that and creates this article.
Well, somebody in this county supervisor's office had to have sent it to them. So this is where it gets weird.
Interesting.
Like, it's like the thing's sent, and then instead of the supervisors reaching out to us and going, "What is this? Like, get rid of this."
They're like, "Hey,
Ryan
alert
Burns. Us. Tell the sheriff's department what the IP address is for this person. Like, we need to figure out who's threatening to kill people." Instead of that, no, let's send it to the media. Come on.
Yeah. It's a Nancy Pelosi wrap-up smear, like, to the T.
Title.
That's why I put the video on the top of the post of her explaining what a wrap-up smear is, just so people can watch the video and go, wow, that does sound like this a lot. Because in the timing, it's just so ridiculous. It's like they should have at least reached out to me. That's what they should have done. If they would have reached out to me, it wouldn't even have looked fishy. It would have given them all the plausibility of deniability. Like, it would have made this whole thing look like terrible for us. But because they didn't, which is so weird. I mean, it's like,
Well, and the thing is Donnie calls in
All
to
the
the
time.
meeting. He calls into the meeting and he goes to point that out, and Madrone cuts him off
Oh yeah,
as
yeah,
he's telling them.
Called into the board of
He
supervisors
calls into the
meeting.
yeah.
board of supervisors meeting, and he's like, "Hey, so this is what happened." And then it was just strange because nobody from your office reached out to. That's enough, but we'll move on to the next caller. We're
Yeah.
not talking about agenda items on, It's like, he violated your First Amendment, number one.
Yeah, I was like, I
And they
guess
just
I'm
do it
waiting.
so blatantly now. They don't even care anymore. Like, this is power and prestige at it's the 1% versus the 99, which is exactly what populism is all about. And why Humboldt County needs to know what we're actually about, and that we're not just a bunch of right-wing conservatives trying to protect kids from perverts.
Right.
That's not what we're all about. Like, we're about populism. We're about having conversations with the people and having, real, what's the word I'm looking for?
A community interaction, I'd say.
Community interaction.
Yeah.
Like, remember how we used to talk to each other before 2016?
Feels like a lifetime ago now.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And it's not that hard.
Like,
to
look
have
at it.
real
Like what do? We see somebody in our community that is being shut down on another platform for making a petition, and as a populist would, we provide that a co-equal thing, a space for them to express themselves on our space, and it's in a way that people can actually leave their own commentary underneath. You know what I mean? They can sign it if they want to. They can sign, or they can leave hateful comments if they want to, and fuck around and find out, the beauty is I think that they didn't realize, I don't think that they thought that I was going to collect an IP address, and that it was going to, there's, you can look up IP addresses, and you can find, like, if you look up that IP address and you look at different providers, you'll find different answers for it. But the person multiple times put that they were from Eureka with a specific zip code on the back end. And I could show you this if we could pull, I don't know if we can do that, but and when I was looking them up, I was obviously looking for the answer that matched what they were saying, where they said that they were from, and the only one from Eureka was the one that pinged right there by Open Door Community Center. And I was like, wow, fascinating that the closest place to the ping is literally 28 feet, and it's Open Door Community Center. But the fascinating thing is that two different IP address collections that happen two different days at different times. So it's the same space, the same time. Yeah. And I can be wrong. It could be some other place. The onus is on the person that actually did this. If they want to come forward and they want to be like, hey, I am the person, this is how it actually happened, this is where I live, and I'm so sorry that I did this, and actually reveal who they are, fantastic. We'll do a piece all about it. You know what I mean? But like, do I suspect that? No, I think that it was actually probably someone at Open Door Society that hates us, because that they actually hate us because we're critical of the LGBT community for having drag shows with kids around.
For having drag shows for kids. That's it.
That's it.
That's the only thing that we've criticized as a publication. If you look at everything that I've published, Donnie's published, Ash has published, it's just, why do you need to wag it in front of kids, bro?
Right.
Like, that's all we're saying. And it's a common sense. And if you look at surveys, national surveys, most people are not okay with this. And so I see little victories in our community already.
Oh, totally.
Number one, we did get some hidden camera footage from the CR event. It was very appropriate. There's nothing wrong with it.
We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah.
We might be able to play it.
If you want to see it, we could probably play it. And then we also, when we found out, I have 35,000 followers on Twitter, by the way. I love Twitter. It's my place. When I found out that Ferndale had their very first drag show, I thanked them publicly on my Twitter page and said, congratulations, and thank you for making it for adults only. That's all it's about. We don't hate gay people. We don't hate people who are marginalized. If anyone's marginalized, you're looking at two people right here who are marginalized in Humboldt County. But it's an interesting world we're living in today.
I mean, you can't even count how many times there's been these protests out in front of all adults only drag shows in Humboldt. I mean, there's just been so many, you know what I mean? Like there's been zero. There's no protests.
Nobody
outside
cares.
of no one cares.
Nobody
like you're an
cares.
adult, you want to go shake it in front of other adults and dress up like a girl if you're a guy, or dress up like a guy if you're a girl, or dress up if you're whatever the titles you guys use. have fun. You know what I mean?
Our editor mentioned she had
Yeah.
to drag at her bachelorette
like-
party. Like, no, we don't care. We do not
Yeah.
care.
The one thing that I would say too, though, is that drag as an art form, I'd say that they're perverting it a bit, because the true art form of drag is actually more of a comedic value. If you look back at like drag in the 60s and 70s and 80s, it was always like a guy, like it would be like you putting on a dress, like literally right now with your, with your beard and looking, you know what I mean? Like it'd be like, that's a man in a dress, and that's what makes it funny,
Right.
and that's what makes it drag, and what they're doing now is like, they're kind of using this drag art form that existed and going, it's just art. And by saying like it's just art, for some reason that predicates them be able to do what they do, what they call drag in front of kids.
Yeah.
And it's just I disagree with it. I agree with the original petition guy. That's obviously why I put it up there, and I signed it too.
I did too.
My wife signed it, a lot of my friends signed it. Like the majority of the people on there, I assume, I haven't actually gone through and actually like tried to call them all yet, because I was going to get like a majority of like a massive amount and then do it all like, in a 2-day period with all of us together, making sure that these are real people, and go, hey, you signed this, where do you live? Because one thing is like all the signatures that are bogus, or not bogus, but basically they won't be of value to us, are people outside of the county. Because the predicate of a petition is for it to become a ballot initiative. And it's so like, say you had something that you cared about and you wanted to have it changed. You could go like, do other people give a shit what I think is cool, or whatever I, I'm concerned with? And it's like, if you want to make that into a petition and you want to make that into a ballot initiative, there's two different things. Like a petition, you could just throw it up there on these different websites and things and collect these signatures. But if you get like a lot of support and a lot of signatures and they're all in your area, then it kind of tells you that it's worthwhile to go through the legal battles and all the hurdles to make it a legitimate ballot initiative. And you already have all the signature people. You just hit them up and say, hey, we've made this a legit ballot initiative. You signed this before. Do we still have your support? And, we could probably assume a majority of them that signed it previously in support would sign it again if they were a legit, not like a bot or whatever. Or
Yeah, it could be a good litmus test to see if people are agreeing with what you guys are putting out there.
Right.
With regards to this troll, because that was my first interpretation of it, was it seemed like it was a troll. And I was kind of surprised at the attention and then the subsequent board proposal for anti-hate or whatever they did.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that it was a intentional thing? That somebody did that to kind of just screw you guys over? Or do you think it was somebody just trolling,
I'm
just
not,
trying to see what they could get?
I've already kind of implied that, but at the same time, you never know.
Yeah.
But the way they came back and apologized to the
That was
team
weird.
at Los
It was
Costas
weird.
Populist, I was like, if you want to apologize, come on, let's have a conversation.
Like-
Give us a call. We want to talk to you. We do, and that's something that needs to be said about Las Costas Populist.
I thought that their apology was kind of gaslighty.
It was
though.
super stupid.
It was kind of gaslighty.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Well,
But
the
at
whole
this-
thing was just weird.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing is this is a free speech platform. Anyone, I don't care what your political affiliation, you can come on our website, create an account, and publish your own opinions. We're happy to publish them, even if you don't agree with us. Funny, I don't agree with Donnie.
I might hold my nose while I'm doing the search engine optimization of their article. I might be like, oh my God.
This is why we're free speech.
Yeah, exactly. But it will be published.
It.
You know what I mean? We're not like the rest of the other 5 that won't publish things unless they fit a certain narrative or they think that they're going to get a lot of clicks from it. You know what I mean?
How long? You said the person posted 4 messages. Were those all within the same time frame?
Different. One of them, like the first one was was all by itself, and then they came again a second time and did like one where it was like I love drag, and it was just like totally trolling, and then another one where it was like more like drag is cool, and it was kind of like garbled a little bit, like they were like doing it on their phone, they made some mistakes and stuff, and then there was the like days later the oh my God, I made a mistake.
I can't believe they left this up.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it is free speech. However, no, we actually did have a meeting as a team after the fact, and we're like, bro, okay, we do have to have our own community standards, and this is definitely not something that we're okay with. We're just not.
Right.
We're never going to be okay with violence and blatant racism, blatant just bigotry. We're not going to be okay with that.
Not at all. Not at all.
But we have to draw the line somewhere, and there is a line, and especially call to action. Not okay with that at all.
Not at all.
And that's actually illegal free speech. You're not allowed to call for violence, and we're not okay with that on our website.
We
at
sent it
all.
to the sheriffs.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
Has anything come of that?
No.
No. It's all part of it.
Has the board said anything to you guys after the meeting?
No.
No, still nothing.
I sent them
Nothing.
that email for comment, and I even sent them afterwards that like, look, it's an open door. Like, here's the article. Read it. I mean, it's like the way I look at it is this. Like, it's like this is really embarrassing egg on your guys' face. Like, we didn't write this on here. We didn't write Ryan's article. No one would have known that this even existed unless you guys reached out to Ryan Burns, who then in turn wrote the article and
So
didn't.
now who's promoting hate?
Yeah, so who's
couldn't-
really causing division
Ryan
here?
has seen it on your guys' website. Don't they
Well-
leave up? Didn't
Well, no,
you guys leave up the stuff?
He sent in the email he
sent us a
sent. You can see the
screenshot
screenshot of the email
email that
from
went
the
to
board of
supervisors.
supervisors.
Oh.
Yeah, he didn't go to
Yeah.
our website. No, they're not going to our website.
Yeah, he hates us.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, brother.
I thought he saw it on your guys'
No,
website.
he got it
No.
supplied to
The
him
plot
from this
thickens.
supervisor's office. So
Dun,
that's
dun,
where I'm like,
dun.
so who's promoting hate?
Yeah.
We're not.
No.
We don't hate anybody. I've said it multiple times. I hate no one I disagree with. I've said it multiple times.
I hate
And-
software that doesn't live up to my
Yeah, your software.
expectations.
Yeah, I know, Donnie.
Straight up. Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, why even give that any credence? Why do anything about that at all? I mean, obviously it's a troll. I think for anybody that
mhm.
spends any time on the internet, you can recognize, oh, this could be a 10-year-old
Yeah.
just saying some
Right.
wild
Right.
shit just to
Or
put
some
it out
super
there.
hater who's just like, let's make this people look as bad as possible.
Mhm.
You know, let's paint the picture we all are told is out there. But I recently put a poll on my Twitter page recently in the last couple days, and I said, hey patriots, do you hate the LGBTQ plus community? And I got over 5,500 people voted in this poll. 28% said yes. Now my followers, that means that, 72% of patriots say no, we do not hate the LGBTQ plus community. Now, if you go through the comments, you'll see why the people who wrote yes are like offended that more people didn't say yes. But if you read the comments, and all the meat and potatoes in Twitter is in the comments, I hate them because of their actions. I hate them because of this. I hate them because God told me to. Okay, there's always the fringy people, right? But how many people voted in that poll that are my trolls? Because I have a lot of leftist trolls that like to follow me around. Now they get blocked real quick. I'm pretty good at that. But I've been on Twitter a lot. This is my second account. I had 50,000 followers when the other Twitter, they took me down.
You got banned off Twitter?
Yeah. But
This was prior to the Elon Musk takeover?
Yes. And then when Elon Musk took over, it was freedom again. So yeah, I've rebuilt in 1 year 35,000 followers. So it's funny though, because I come back and I still have the same people come at me. You see these accounts and they have the same kind of, they've got the Ukraine flag now and the girl in the mask in the picture, and it's the same type of trolls, and they come at you with the, oh, you're just a far left bigot, blah blah. I'm like, you can go on my Twitter page right now, search the word gay. I've said, come on, gay people, I don't hate you.
Well,
all my stuff. That's what
I think the intention
at all.
was. This is what I think the intention was with this entire thing. Is it's to gaslight everybody
Yes.
to where if you are critical of
Mhm.
LGBTQT doing drag shows in
Yep.
front of kids, you can't exist in this space
Yep.
unless you are a Trump supporting bigot, white supremacist,
Mhm.
name the pejorative, okay?
Yeah.
And that's the gaslighting. And so like the apology that the person left, they say, oh, and I'm sorry to Lost Coast Populist at the bottom, but it's also after assuming that we've dropped the ball because we didn't respond to their trolling our account in a way that they expected us to. It's like, go fuck yourself. It's our website. Like, your expectations of us mean nothing to us. Number one, like, can you imagine if I had expectations of you and your podcast? You'd be like, Donnie, like, I appreciate the time we spend, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's absurd, dude.
Well,
It's absurd.
It's also like this, they're implying that like we have this amazing team of people,
Right.
like that are,
Yeah.
there's 4 of us.
Yeah. Do we fucking Google all of a sudden?
4 of us.
You know what I
No,
mean? Like,
we're
Jesus
not.
Christ.
And this website is 6 months old.
Yeah.
We're doing what
God.
we can with the resources we
They
have.
just
but
wish
some
we
of us
didn't
are
exist.
not-
That's what they wish we
Yeah.
didn't exist. They wish
Well,
we'd
you
go
guys have
away.
some pretty tough branding coming from the people that are not for you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
That's,
But Donnie and I, I was also a member of the GOP with Donnie. And so was several patriots that left when Donnie was removed from the GOP.
yeah.
And the thing is that there's a resistance for our type of people on both the right and the left. They don't like populism. We are socially accepting, but we are fiscally conservative. So they don't like the idea that there are people that want conservative policy, but they want people out of their bedroom. We're truly, what are we? We're truly libertarians at the end of
Yeah.
the day,
Yeah.
right? Like we just want everybody to leave us alone. I think that most people can agree with that. And they didn't like our kind there, and I stepped up. We helped. We built them. He built a website. I did some design for it. We did what we could to help them. I door knocked. I delivered. I did everything I could to help get Republicans elected in Humboldt County, and they crapped all over us.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Oh, well, we got 10% more than we did 4 years ago." And I'm like, you can thank Joe Biden for that. You guys didn't do
Right.
You didn't do anything.
Right.
Like they just, well, last time we raised this much money. It's like, so it's just about raising money. It's
Yeah.
not about winning elections, because that's what I'm doing here. I'm here to help win elections. So what are we doing?
Yeah.
We're not changing minds. So that's where Donnie and I,
Sorry.
after Donnie left, it was kind of like, okay, what are we going to do now? So
Right.
that's where this came out. So
And that's how you
yeah.
found and got
Yeah.
involved with Las Coast Populace. was through
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was him and I. Well, Donnie came to me with the idea, and then it was your friend of yours idea to begin with,
Yeah,
and then Donnie ran
Adam.
with it, and I jumped on board, and then we got Ash to get along, and Ash is a great writer. I mean,
he's rad.
he's fantastic. He does the reading between the headlines for us, and then our editor, she's fantastic too. So.
Yeah. We have a really cool team.
We do.
We want to build it too. We want more contributors. This is another thing too. Is
Absolutely.
like what we're really looking forward to is getting more people that are passionate like us, that want to see
Mhm.
change in the local area, that would like to write or like to take pictures or like to make videos or whatever it is. If you want to like do that and you want to do it for our web space, then you can do it as a contributor, and we would love to have you. You know, like it would be fantastic.
And you can say whatever you want.
Yeah,
Just don't
exactly,
say you want to kill people.
You won't get
and-
canceled here,
We're not
you
going
know.
to cancel anybody, and I don't care how far left or far right you are. You can speak up on our website. We want some of those middle of the road people, all those
Right.
populists too, to come join us. 'Cause-
Well, I think a lot of those
Yeah.
people are being pushed away from you guys because they see some branding like what's thrown out there, and then they're like,
Sure.
"Oh, I can't go
Well,
over here."
Sure.
That's the gaslighting. It's the
That's
scare.
what it
It's the
is.
scare tactic. It's so
Mhm.
the whole thing of this whole like anti-hate resolution is the pretext of some, like they go like, well, assuming that it was a troll. Like, no, it was a fucking troll. It was a fucking troll. Like, not assuming it was a troll.
Yeah.
Not there's no other thing out there where we like did this.
Yeah.
And we were just had this crystal ball where we're like, if we sign our own petition with some evil shit,
We'll
bet
really make
$100
ourselves look good.
no, I bet
What?
$100 Stephen Madrone, he'll get triggered. He'll
Yeah.
send it to fucking Ryan Burns, who then will send an email to us, and then 4 hours subsequently later, he'll write a hit piece on us. It's genius. Like it's like, can you imagine like the crystal ball shit that we'd have to
Yeah,
have?
that
Like,
picture you found of the
Oh my
of the
God,
LG.
just-
What is his name? What's his guy? What is his name?
you have to help
From-
me.
From the Pride thing.
Lark
Giving
Doolin.
that big old check to
Lark
the community
Doolin.
health center, and we're like,
Yeah.
oh, you mean where the IP address was pinged for that comment?
Right.
That's funny.
What a
Like,
coincidence.
oh, it's just not to
The
be a big
guy who
conspiracy
hosts-
theorist,
yeah,
but
the
it
guy
just
who
seems
hosts
like really
drag
odd,
shows for kids.
Yeah, and
Hangs out at this place that got money for laser hair removal for trans people only. And that's the place closest to the ping of the hateful comment of our petition that's critical of the same community. What would Occam's razor say?
I don't know. I just
Why would the simplest answers usually the one That's the truth.
Yeah, it
You
just seems really
know?
odd,
Yeah, it's just
So
insane.
we can
dude.
imply that there was conspiracy all day, but you mean
like-
Nobody knows.
No one
conspiracy
knows,
at the
yeah.
end of the day or
Stephen
the future
Madrone knows.
headlines these days. So
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
Ryan
You know?
Burns knows. Stephen Madrone knows, but they'll never tell the truth. All right, they'll never cough it up. You know what I mean? They'll be like, well, man, you know. I mean,
Well, you guys are in a tough spot because
Mhm.
the drag stuff gets people so emotional
Oh,
that
Well,
nobody can have a rational discussion about it because everybody's so charged in one direction or another.
Well, and that's a perception too. I think your average human being, like if you sat, I would love to see this, and you should see if our buddy Lance is down to sit next to Donnie Creekmore and have both of them on the show for a little
I'm
rap
not familiar
session.
with
down.
Lance.
So
Yeah.
Lance is the I don't
no,
know.
Lark
Lark
Doolin.
is
Lark
the one I'm
Doolin,
talking
yeah.
about. So get Lark and Donnie on the show together.
Lark's the guy that got the check.
Yeah, he's like the leader of Lost Coast Pride or
Yeah.
Redwood Pride, one of the.
And they talk about like it's so I went on their website because I was looking for resources for mine and it says, because of a bunch of haters, we couldn't have our all age drag show in Ferndale, but we're gonna have it at CR. I'm reading this thing and I'm like, haters. Oh, the Christian guy down the street. Okay, yeah, hater. Wait, so we live in a world now where concerned parents, pastors, and right-leaning media are demonized while we put people who want to parade in front of children in their underwear on a pedestal.
yeah,
That's where we are today.
yeah.
I mean, put that into perspective. Your average person would have this conversation, but there's these extremists, and they're on both sides, that don't want to talk.
Oh,
They
yeah.
just want to be heard with their agenda.
I mean, we've got people that even talk from the other extreme to us. They're like, you need to do it like this, and you need to say it like
I'm
this.
like, bro, go-
And we're just like,
Go away.
oh, dude, cool your jets. Like,
Too
like,
much.
yeah, like, why weren't you at the protest, Donnie? I'm like, I'm a journalist, not a
Yeah.
protester. I used to be an activist, and now I'm taking this seriously. I'll show up and I'll cover you if you're having a protest. We have an events
Mhm.
calendar if you'd like to put your protest on the events calendar. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm trying to
Right.
provide you services,
Right.
for free. Like, come on. Like, that's what we're here for now. Not, like, yeah. So people have expectations.
Well, and
the
I'm an opinion
expectations
writer, so I'm a
are
total
wild.
activist.
Yeah.
I'm an activist. I'm not a journalist by any means, and I have no shame to say that. Every piece
Yeah.
I submit is an opinion.
Well, I'm an activist journalist, I'd say
Well,
too.
You know what?
Yeah.
At least you're honest about it.
Yeah.
Because these other guys, they're not. They
No.
all have an agenda, but they hide behind the news title. So we're doing it too, but we're also saying, hey, this is who we are. These are opinions. Yes, these are opinions. However, this is how I perceive the world around me and what we want more people to contribute. You
Yeah.
know, you got something to say something. We want to put people's
Courage is
people's,
contagious.
we want to put people's opinions out there. Just because there's these extreme visions that you see in the news doesn't mean that that's how the world really is. So speak up. Say
Is it
something.
hard
Yeah.
separating you guys from Lost Coast Populist? Because a lot of the texts that I've heard, it's not necessarily on the organization, it's on you guys
Mhm.
individually, and it just gets applied to what you guys are doing as well,
Right.
just by proxy.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
I look
I've-
at Donnie because he gets a
yeah,
lot more than
I get
do.
I get a lot more of that than she does. You know what I mean?
Well, that's like in the Lost Coast
Mhm.
Outpost article, a lot of the attacks were at you.
Directed
And
directly at
then
me. Yeah.
it's just by
Mhm.
proxy, oh yeah, the Lost Coast Populist too, which is Donnie's thing. Like you were the
Right.
focus of that.
Mhm.
A lot of it is so. What that is they're trying to go for their perceived leader. So there's like this whole thing of like if you kill the leader, you know what I mean. If you demonize the one person, then everybody doesn't want to be like that guy, right? And so what they're trying to do is brand me as a specific thing. Meanwhile, in the same exact art, in the same breath, saying, "Don't go look at his content or actually decide
We'll
for
tell
yourself.
you what it says.
Don't believe your lying eyes. Like I'm Ryan Burns and I get to define your reality.
Not one
Don't
link
think
to the
too much
petition,
about-
not one link to
Yeah,
the website. on
Don't
that
think
entire
too much
article.
about that Lost Coast Outpost
Yeah.
reader that they literally think you're that stupid, that they think that your IQ is that low that they can, in the same breath, tell you that I'm a piece of shit, but hey, don't look and confirm for yourself, okay? And so this, and they're so dumb and full of themselves that they actually wrote this article, and it actually boosted our organic, like our views, like in a day. Like we've had like double the amount of views since then, every single day since then. So thank you, Ryan Burns. I really appreciate
we
what
do
you've done for
appreciate
us.
that.
Your readers, as much as you assume that they have low IQ and that they can't think
They
for
don't.
themselves, they actually come and they read other things and they formulate their opinions. You know, it's a fascinating thing. So
Well, and most people are actual critical thinkers.
Yeah.
Most people don't want to be told how to think. They want to think for themselves. So we challenge everyone to do that. You know, come on the website, read our articles. Read our articles. It's not going to hurt you. We promise the words won't jump out and do anything violent to your feelings or physically violent.
Send Donnie some hate mail. I mean, it's the fun
we
thing
need
to do
stuff
these
to forward
days.
to the Human Rights
It's the fun thing to do these
Commission.
days. You know. I mean, my wife doesn't dig it. You know,
Yeah,
my
neither
kids
does my
don't.
husband.
My kids don't. They haven't seen the language, but they heard that I was sent hate mail, and they were all concerned, and they were like had like sympathy for me, like, oh my God, Dad, like, why are they being mean to you, Dad? And I'm like, it's just, and I try to explain to them, I'm big on the golden rule. And my kids don't understand that when I go into doing journalism mode, because they'll be reading my papers and they're like, it doesn't seem like you're applying the golden rule there, Dad. I'm like, oh, I'm not, son. I'm not at all. And they're like, how does that work? And I'm like, well, the people that I'm writing and I'm posing, they don't use the golden rule at all, like ever. I don't even think they've ever been taught it. And they're like, so it's like, that's the way, you got to treat people the way you want to be treated,
Sure.
But it's like, if I were to, it's, so when people send me hate mail, like I look at them and on one hand, I kind of laugh and chuckle because their words mean absolutely nothing to me. And I look at it as like a hollow threat. But on the other end, I also see like a victim of a matrix situation. They're so sucked into thinking that I am this vision that they've been branded into thinking, that they're like Ryan Burns' biggest fan. Ryan Burns says that Donnie's a bad guy. I'm gonna write Donnie a hate email. I hate you. You should kill yourself, and I want to kill your wives and your stupid kids because da.
That's exactly.
And that's literally the kind of language that I'm getting from these people. But and I look at them as like they're literally that's who they're like the Los Coast biggest fans. You know what I mean?
And they're mentally ill. I mean, if you really read one article and you just take that on as your own opinion, you're nothing better than a well-trained dog. You don't even believe in liberty, man. You don't even believe in speaking for yourself at all. Like, read something, think about it, then react. Or read about it and challenge it. I challenge everyone. If you don't like what I have to say, get in my comment section and argue with me. I want to have conversations with people, because you don't change minds by telling people how to think. You change people's minds by challenging them to think.
Well, I think a lot of people just don't have time.
Sure.
So they see one headline, they read one article, and they're like, this is the truth. And then they just run off that.
Right. Exactly. That's really common. And especially for low information people who are just like, ignorance is bliss, whatever Lost Coast Outpost says, we're going to buy it. And it's like, well, don't just read the headline. Dig in a little bit. And I don't think people actually have these extreme opinions that we see all over. Like, I was in church the other day, and the pastor's up there, and he's like, look, there's nothing more evil than social media, because here you have all these people. He uses this example. I fought fires with this guy for 30 years. And we got along great. He was one of my best friends. And as soon as I share my opinions on social media, he's just blasting me in my comics. And he goes, man, after 30 years of saving each other's lives, you can't just give me a little grace. So, but it's true. And it happens all the time. People don't talk to
You're actually bringing up a huge point that we haven't touched on. Lost Coast Outpost censors their comment section.
Yeah, we don't.
Talk about a social media and a perspective thing, right? Anybody that go on there and test me, anybody out there, go on there and test me. Go write anything at all where you're just saying, it looks like they found the IP address for this on this other article. Censored. Anything that's critical or anything at all that's rebuttal-esque of the authors at Lost Coast Outpost will be censored. They use an app called Discuss. Discuss basically takes your articles and it throws them out on a social media type platform, which it brings in all kinds of different readers and writers and commenters from all over the world that go on to discuss, because you got it. They like to discuss things. They like to chat. They like to be and put their opinions in the comment section. That's what they like to do. It's a service provided to them. we were thinking about using it, but then once I saw what it was, is it basically it creates an echo chamber. You can moderate your opinion section and keep it to where it's only one set of opinions. And then because they bring in all of the, or I mean comments, you can moderate your comment section. And because you're bringing in you're aggregating all of these comments from all over the world of people that wouldn't even have seen your article if you weren't using this platform. Now they're commenting on your stuff. Donnie's, I hate this guy. You know, they don't even live in Humboldt County. I would bet $100 that probably sub 50% of the comments that you see on Lost Coast Outpost is actually people who live in Humboldt County who have actually ever lived in Humboldt County.
You think it's that low?
Totally.
Sub 50%.
100%.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I will tell you this.
No one comments on ours.
I did a paid ad on Facebook for some opinion I had. I don't remember what it was. Probably something. I don't know what it was. But anyway, I did a paid ad just to test the water, see what this does.
Grab a water bottle.
And
it's right in the fridge.
You guys,
And they all the comments I got were from Los Angeles, San Francisco. And I'm looking at this and I'm looking at how Facebook shared it, because I thought I picked a radius, of Humboldt County, Trinity County, Delaware, whatever. And no, they took different people who like random things, and like people who like this a university or this vacuum, or it's just really weird targeted marketing. And I was like, this is so strange. So all the trolls that I'm getting on Facebook are not even from Humboldt County. And I was like, well, this is stupid. So of course I stopped the boost, and I was like, I guess so now I have to customize it. The last one I tried to boost was all the screenshots of the hate, all the hate messages that I've received. And I was, I tagged all of our supervisors in, and I said, hey, can I get some resources? Or, are you guys going to respond to this?
Did they say anything to you?
Nobody replied to it. And I tried to boost it on Facebook, and it got declined. I wonder why. Because I targeted it to Humboldt County. I pinged our supervisors, and I wanted to share some opinions of people that hate me with them. And so they don't like it because it's, it's in defense of opinion they don't
Well, there is this weird litmus test where if you don't fit the criteria, it doesn't really matter. We're just going to not pay attention to it.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. I've had other ads. I've had other things not boosted and not be approved for boosting, but it was just interesting. It's just interesting how it all works, where what we're really getting at with all that is that there's none of that on our website. Right. If you want to come on, and that's why we didn't catch this comment. That's one of the reasons, is because we don't filter things. We don't shut people up when they have something to say. And
should you guys be expected to?
Why?
Have to do that? I mean, is that...
The way that I look at it is this, is if someone cares, they can send us an email and a screenshot of whatever it is. And we're actually we're going to build like a better system to where it's literally, it's like a flag system. If there's anything you don't like on this page, click here, and they fill out a form, and then it'll save me the ID of the page. They can say what they don't like about it, and they can even put in an image. And then that way, and I can look at it and I'm like, too bad for you. That's awesome. We like it.
It's like a report. It's like you can report this tweet, or you can report
like
this.
you're flagging a post.
For sure,
it's the same.
Sure. So it's the idea is what we're gonna do that, and then also auto notifications when anyone comments. So we all get an email when someone comments on something. If I wrote it, it's going to come to my inbox, and it's going to go to the main Lost Coast Populist email as well. That way, there's more than one person responsible for monitoring what's going on in our comments section. But I don't want to delete comments. I really don't. I want people to speak their minds. I want people to be heard. I'm sorry if that makes me a bad person.
I think that we did. I found some auto moderation things that we can do in our comment section, but in the actual petition signature thing, there's no way for me to moderate anything. It's just literally community. Anything goes. If someone types it in there, it's going to go in. And I wanted to turn it on after this, but I couldn't. But the comments, our comment section, we at least threw in the language, some of the colorful language that the people left on there. So now you can't actually leave that in our comment section, which is good. It'll just flag it, and it just won't even show up.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks though that you guys do have to do that.
We don't want to,
because
I never wanted to have to do that.
Yeah. And
but this is why we have to, because like you said, there's a big flaming pile of poo.
Well, especially for you guys, if you don't, you're just gonna get shit on more. But I don't. I'm a fan of not censoring anything.
Right.
Even that crazy comment that person left, I probably would have left that up just because I would rather see it.
I almost did. I almost
Yeah.
did.
It's the call to violence is dangerous.
That's
what I
where it
meant,
gets a little
and
That's
slippery.
the reason.
That's where
and
I
you
draw
got
the
it right.
line.
That's
If
what
you wanna
drew.
be
That was
if
the
if
nope.
Yeah, if
you
you wanna
know.
be a pig and say terrible things, that's really on you, William. But as far as calling to violence, killing people, I'm not okay with that.
Yeah.
We do
Right.
have to take that stuff down, and we were very disappointed that it was up as long as it was, but I'm not gonna sit here and freaking apologize for someone else's opinion or someone else's trolling.
It's-
When I get trolls, I tell them to take their meds and I delete their comments, or I delete their message and I block them.
The-
Grow up.
Hey,
Like,
this
grow up.
is how we
Move on with your
know
life.
beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was a
Mhm.
troll. Right now, we can rest
Mhm.
our hat that it's a troll because we sent it all to the county sheriffs. I sent them the screenshots of the database where the IP was collected. You know what I mean? Like I sent them everything. Here's the receipts. I even said I will come in, sit next to your data analysis guy, and he can sit beside me as I pull it up if you don't believe that this is actually
Well,
a
they
replica.
care so much about hate, but they don't.
no.
But they haven't reached back to us
Exactly.
about this
This is a
offer to
threat.
share the information.
How do we know? How do we know that the first that when they're saying, "Oh, I didn't really mean the threat," how do we know that which one's truthful, the threat or the one saying the threat isn't true?
Yeah, the apology.
But here we are talking on a podcast to somebody. You're the first person to reach out to us about this.
Yeah.
Not the county, not the sheriff, not the Humboldt Community Service. You, like a
And
podcast host.
I know, how sad is that?
Dude, it's
It really is
insane,
sad.
brother. It's insane.
sad.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's just insane. It's
Yeah.
just insane. Like, it's the world we live in.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I just feel like how can we not say there's an agenda?
Mhm.
Like, how can you not have this perceived notion when you step back from this and you look at it as an outsider, and how is there not an agenda on one side of this? We didn't ever get contacted about this comment by the county supervisor's office. Instead, they sent a screenshot of it to Ryan Burns at Los Coast Outpost. Los Coast Outpost is they're in cahoots. It's all a part of
Yeah.
the big problem that we have in America today. It's not just Humboldt County. It's not just California. It's the entire nation. We have the media and the politicians working hand in hand to feed money to special interest groups. And it's been happening forever. And we need to stop it, and we need to call it out. And I'm not going to shut up about it. We're still going to talk about it. And it just, to me, it seems hand in hand. If you really look at it, like,
totally.
it's just so weird.
It's why I wore
Mhm.
the shirt DYOS, drain your own swamp. Like drain
Ooh.
the swamp. It was like
Yeah.
from Trump's, big, it was like
Yeah.
a big thing in 2016. This is drain your own swamp. This is what we need to do here. And this is
Yeah.
a shout out to the Red, White, and Blueprint boys out in Shasta
Yeah.
who've been doing a great job at draining their swamp out there. They've gotten back
They're
to
inspirational.
yeah. They've
Yeah.
even changed their electoral system over there to where they're no longer using the computers anymore. They're doing straight like paper ballots, going back to the original hard to cheat system. Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about what's going on in Shasta.
Oh, dude, you should have those guys on your
Dude,
podcast.
they're amazing.
Yeah.
So they were able to successfully recall a rhino off of their board,
Right.
and elect a guy who, one of them. And now, I mean, it was all over. Mostly, it was all over COVID and over the overreach and the mandates. And Shasta County was just like, we're not doing any of this. Like,
Right.
the people of Shasta County did not support what the government was trying to do. I would say there's a lot of people in Humboldt County, Humboldt Freedom Coalition. You guys,
Mhm.
people did not want to muzzle up, stand 6 feet apart, and take a freaking mandated vaccine. And it's funny because you look back at those days and you go, well, it's over now, but you still see people in muzzles not wanting to get too close to you. And there's all these psychological problems going on with our kids, with just your random people in the supermarket. Like, you cough and people look at you funny. It's like, dude, it's
Myocarditis
3
from the vax.
years. We could talk about that too. I mean, but it's like,
I mean, they called me
Yeah.
vax obsessed, and I mean, I didn't take it. And look, I mean, I'm doing great.
my heart's going great too.
Yeah,
don't
I
see
never
them
wore a
take it.
mask, and I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah. I
over
got
there, Ryan
COVID.
Burns.
I had a cold for 2 days.
Yeah,
I never took it. I didn't take anything. I
Yeah.
just stayed in bed and hung out.
you got vaccinated by nature.
Yeah, it's awesome. Wow. Thank you.
Well, the
Mother
COVID
Nature.
stuff is another
It's a whole nother
That's a
realm.
whole
We don't
other
have to
realm.
open that book.
No, I mean we can
but-
if you guys want to.
Well,
But that's
they
where they
brought it
went.
up. They're the ones that called us.
Well, with Shasta,
Vax obsessed
that's
or
what Shasta.
something.
So Shasta, the whole thing
That's why they
started in
recalled
Shasta.
that person.
Yeah.
They recalled him over the overreach and the mandates, and then Shasta stood up and they voted this guy in, and now they have the government that actually represents them.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
look at that.
The crazy
yeah.
thing is a lot of
Yeah.
people did want that though. And a lot of people still wanted
Sure.
those restrictions, which
Pe-
is uncomfortable.
Well, I
Yeah.
would say there is a silent majority of people who do not vote in Humboldt County because they think that they're outnumbered.
Mhm.
I would like to share with them that if you look at the voter rolls, of which Donnie and I both have access to, having been a part of the GOP, there are plenty of us to win elections here.
Oh yeah.
And you're not. And we have. It's not that we. It's not that we didn't have. We don't have enough. It's not just like we have enough Republicans to win. We have enough people who are just not Democrats to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are just not far leftists to win. And there's enough common sense Democrats out there. Hello, welcome over. Come on over. You're a populist too. If you supported Bernie Sanders and his narrative during 2016, 2020, then you are a populist. You are not his narrative, not him specifically. We could get into that if you want, but he is not a populist. He's a part of the machine. But his narrative was populism. So was Donald Trump's, right? So even though they sit on opposite ends of the spectrum, what at the end of the day, people can level with what the things they were talking about and the things that they wanted, So it's just it's interesting. There's enough of us out there, though. If people would just show up and vote, that's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
don't show up.
They don't show up, and
They think they're outnumbered.
even the other side doesn't show up and vote too.
Yeah.
Which is like when you really see the outcomes, it's not
Mhm.
like it's particularly crazy outcomes from both ends, and there's a huge demographic change that's going to be. I think very evident by 2024 because of the failing cannabis industry in Humboldt
Mhm.
County.
Yeah.
That there's just not cash as much as there was in the local area as there was previously, and all of that cash goes directly into service industries, and the service industries typically hire college students and trimmers and people like that, and those people typically vote Democrat. You know what I mean? And there's a lot less of them around right now because they can't survive. They can't. Not only can brokers no longer broker things on the black market up here, but also you can't. The cash isn't going. There's not as many tips at the bar. There's not as many tips if you're a server.
Yeah.
And this is real. These are real things. And then meanwhile, the price of gasoline's gone up. The price of everything's gone up. So it's just hard to survive. It's hard to survive if you're a survivor. You know what I mean? And so these kids that are just like green behind the ears when it comes to life, you know what I mean? They got out of, Humboldt State, and they're like, thinking that their degree means literally anything at all to society. They figure out, they figure out that no, that's great for your degree. Here you go, $15 an hour. And they're like, $15 an hour? It's like, yeah, like your degree means nothing. Like there's 1,000 other kids that look just like you, competing for this position. How are you more valuable than them? How does that paper make you more valuable? And it's like those people are all not going to be voting in 2024 because they're just physically not going to be here because it's going to be too hard for them to survive here economically.
That's a good point. Yeah.
What do you guys think is going to happen in 2024 in terms of the presidential election?
Trump's going to get elected by a landslide.
You think he's going to come back?
Oh, for sure.
I do think that Trump will win the primary.
Yeah.
And the reason I think that is because I think he really is the most popular person. I mean, all the polls show that he'll win. However, I don't think DeSantis wants to run. And this is where Donnie and I have a different opinion, definitely. I like DeSantis. I think that he could be good in the future. I think that the GOP is pushing him to run. And I think he will run because of the GOP and the way they're backing him and pushing him toward it. I don't think it'll be good for the GOP. I actually think the GOP is going to go in the shitter, to be honest with you. And I would love to see that happen. But I'd also love to see the Democrats fall on their faces with this far left crap that they're shoving down everyone's throats, because the average person doesn't want all this crap.
No.
People don't want to be told. Again, I've said it a million times. People do not want to be told how to think. They
Yeah,
don't.
but the DNC doesn't care. I think they've shown that with stopping the presidential
Well,
primaries, which is a
what they
crazy
did to
move.
Bernie Sanders in 2016
Or that.
should piss
Or
off
that.
everyone who thinks.
I mean, take your pick.
Should piss off everyone who thinks that their freaking vote actually matters.
Yeah.
You guys actually care about democracy? You guys don't? Did you not pay attention to what happened to Bernie Sanders? They stole that from him, and then they blackmailed him into. Come on, buddy. You know, I mean, the guy's a total socialist and dirtbag. I'm not a fan by any means. I mean, anyone who says that it's a good thing that people stand in bread lines is a joke. I mean, come on. There's a reason America has been a more successful country than a lot of these countries that turn to socialism, is because we want people to have the freedom to produce. Get out of people's way. Get out of their pockets and let them produce. Let them do what they do.
In 2020, the 2020 election, which is like you're not supposed to talk about it or whatever, I would say that Trump won that election besides the cheating. You know what I mean? And what I
unsubstantiated cheating.
Oh, it's
that's what they say every time they bring it up in the media. The unsubstantiated cheating. Don't mind the documentaries and all the evidence.
That's the Ryan Burns guys out there for you. Don't watch 2,000 Mules. You might develop a
your own opinion.
Yeah.
I still have to watch that because I've heard that it's a
so
load
good.
of crap, and I think last time we talked about it.
Of course, you heard it was a
too.
load of crap.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all they ever talk about.
It's the same technology the FBI uses to like catch perpetrators who have like done drive-by shootings and stuff, and like people have gone to prison for it. The same exact technology was used to isolate cell phone pings of people dropping 50 to 100 ballots into different drop boxes over and over and over again, day after day after day. And then they took that and then they synced that up with video footage of the actual people doing it at the drop boxes. So it's like the only way that anybody can have any opinion other than, holy shit, the election was stolen, was not watching that film. Right. You watch the film, election was stolen. You don't watch the film, it's like, man, that film might be full of shit.
What was the counter?
What I mean?
What was the counter argument? That they were just collecting ballots from people that couldn't deliver them themselves?
Right.
Ballot harvesting.
The same person. Well, ballot harvesting is legal in California.
But not in these other states.
Isn't that lovely? Like I can walk into a nursing home and anyone, I don't have to, there's no check on this. You can walk into a nursing home and just swoop up all the ballots and go home and fill them out and take them to the box. No, I mean, there's a signature verification process, which I witnessed myself at the Helmut County Supervisor's Office. It's interesting. The two people check your signatures, and it's not a far crazy thing for you to think that two people could be in cahoots, but just saying. Two people check your signatures against what you've submitted through the DMV and what you've submitted on past ballots. And if they will flag them if they don't match, right? So, but on that same screen, and I like to point this out because not a lot of people know this, on the same screen where they're looking at your signature, they can also see your political party. Does that make you uncomfortable as a voter? Because it makes me uncomfortable. And I called it out. And Juan's sitting there, and he goes, oh yeah, they're trying to get rid of that. And I was like, oh, really? When? And I was like, yeah, because that's really odd.
It's probably a good idea.
Like, if you're going to validate signatures, that's great. But why do you need to know their political party at the same time? So it's not a huge stretch of the mind to think that two people could invalidate a signature because of the political party. And if you hit invalidate enough times, and every single one of those ballots has to be validated, all those mail-in ballots have to be validated, or authorized ballots that don't match, too, based on political party.
But wouldn't the counter argument to that be then you have to get a lot of people in cahoots for this and keep them quiet
at your county office, there are two people who do it all.
For the whole county?
That's as far as I know, from what I saw. There's two people. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I had one
I'm ready to register no party preference. Oh, but
I had one on the podcast and he was
I
felt pretty comfortable talking with him.
Sure.
But I did go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, real quick, Juan is a super nice guy. I've met him many times. I think that he is. I think it was interesting how he all of a sudden popped out at the end there with those. He had been endorsed by Jim Wood and McGuire at the end there, which I thought was interesting because Tiffany did beat him. Like if you looked at the numbers in the first election, she did get more votes than he did, but he was able to win just by quite a bit in that last one because of his endorsements from our state representatives, which I thought was interesting too. But I think there's cheating going on in Humboldt County after what I've seen. I've worked the polls, I've observed the polls, and I've seen the signature verification process, and I've met these people. No, I actually think our votes are pretty secure here in Humboldt County. However, I just don't. Do you trust? There's certain areas I don't really trust with that, and there's certain things where I step back and I go, well, I mean, I trust it because I've met these people, but my perception could be different, And is it? What is our editor say? It's not conspiracy theory. It's collusion analyzing.
Yeah,
right.
I like that.
You're analyzing collusion, right? Are you looking at people? Are you looking at this and going, is there collusion going on, or is this straightforward? I don't know. I think more diverse people need to be involved working at the elections office. I think more diverse people, politically diverse people, need to be working the polls, need to be working in the observing the elections, watching the ballots get counted. And I think that people would feel more secure voting. But at this point, I don't really think people trust it. And so you get this mixed bag. I've been out and I'm like, hey man, do you want to register to vote? It's like, no, what doesn't make any difference anyway. So, yeah, especially when 50,000 of you say that. It doesn't make any difference.
Hey,
I
want to. I found something that I was looking for. I want to read something real quick. Can I do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this is like super on point. So February 4th, 2021 by Molly Ball for Time. Okay.
Is that Time article?
Yes.
Okay, my gosh.
A second odd thing happened amid Trump's attempts to reverse the results. Corporate America turned on him. Hundreds of major business leaders, many of whom had backed Trump's candidacy and supported his policies, called on him to concede. To the president, something felt amiss. Quote, it was all very, very strange, Trump said on December 2nd. Within days after the election, we witnessed an orchestrated effort to anoint the winner, even while many key states were still being counted. In a way, Trump was right. There was a conspiracy unfolding behind the scenes, one that both curtailed the protests and coordinated the resistance from CEOs. Both surprises were the result of an informal alliance between the left-wing activists and the business titans. The pact was formalized in a terse, little-noticed joint statement of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the AFL-CIO published on Election Day. Both sides would come to see it as a sort of implicit bargain, inspired by the summer's massive, sometimes destructive racial justice protests, in which the forces of labor came together with the forces of capital to keep the peace and oppose Trump's assault on democracy. Democracy. The handshake between business and labor was just one component of a vast cross-partisan campaign to protect the election, an extraordinary shadow effort dedicated not to winning the vote, but to ensuring it would be free and fair, credible and uncorrupted. For more than a year, a loosely organized coalition of operatives scrambled to shore up America's institutions as they came under simultaneous attack from the remorseless pandemic and an autocratic inclined president. Though much of this activity took place on the left, it was separate from the Biden campaign and crossed ideological lines, with crucial contributions by nonpartisan and conservative actors. The scenario: the shadow campaigners were desperate to stop what was not a Trump victory. It was an election so calamitous that no result could be discerned at all. A failure of the central act of democratic self-governance that had been a hallmark of America since its founding. Their work touched every aspect of the election. They got states to change voting systems and laws and helped secure hundreds of millions in private funding. They fended off voter suppression lawsuits, recruited armies of poll workers, and got millions of people to vote by mail for the first time. They successfully pressured social media companies to take a harder line against disinformation.
Air quotes, our opinions.
Air quotes. And used user data-driven strategies to fight viral smears. They execute viral smears like the laptop from hell, the Hunter Biden laptop from hell, which is 100% not a vital
or a fake comment on a petition on a little company's website.
Exactly. They executed national public awareness campaigns that helped Americans understand how the vote count would unfold over the days or weeks, explaining to them what they were about to see, basically. You know, if you really think that, if you read this article and you think about it now in hindsight, what this person's saying is there was a conspiracy to cheat Trump out of the election.
Is that an opinion piece or that's a New York Times?
This is Time by Molly Ball. The Secret History
Oh, this isn't
of
New
the
York
Shadow
Times.
Yeah,
It's just Time.
yeah, Time magazine or whatever.
Yeah, Time magazine.
The Secret History of the Shadow Campaign that saved the 2020 election.
But is that an
Saved.
opinion
It
piece?
saved it.
Doesn't say that it is.
No, that's
Okay.
the news for you these days, though,
Yeah.
right? Because this is the news.
Yeah, it's just
right?
Time.
So
Do you guys think that? Do you buy into the argument that the election was fraudulent? That
Oh,
people,
totally.
you think that there
Absolutely.
were there was
Yeah,
fraud in
100%.
terms of the
absolutely.
ballots
Oh, 100%.
specifically?
Absolutely.
Yeah, without a doubt.
With the ballots and the machine.
Oh, we're
I
definitely
think-
getting pulled off YouTube now. We're
Yeah.
going in.
Oh no! Don't demonetize him for our opinions. It's not like he disagrees with us. No,
Yeah.
agrees with us. No. Here's the thing. I saw. I went to bed and I woke up and the election had flipped. I mean, I went to bed and Trump had it in the bag. He had it in the bag, and wake up the next morning. And you're like, what happened? Why did we stop counting? Like, there's so many things.
But isn't the
And
argument that
for-
it was the mail-in ballots that changed that those would be counted later after all the
Correct.
in-person ones, and
Right.
most
Just-
of the
just like
Republicans
they
wouldn't vote
Just like
mail?
they explained to people in advance, like they said, and they would in
Like,
their conspiracy
yeah.
that they said.
I know, but
inside.
wouldn't that kind of make sense that you would count the in-person ballots? And Trump told his supporters not to vote by mail, so you would expect most of the in-person ones to be Republican, whereas most of the mail-in ones would be Democrat.
Well, and that's historically true. It doesn't matter what Trump told us to do or not. Most Republicans vote in person.
So wouldn't that
Yeah.
track with the results then? You would expect that the votes counted later into the night would
It's
be
just
more
interesting because
liberal.
it's never worked like that in past elections, But this one was so special because of all the mail-in ballots. So
COVID.
it opened this whole thing up to fraud, and I really think you should watch 2,000 Mules. I think everyone should watch that movie.
Yes.
Because it's not about whether or not you're going to agree with it or not. Don't be afraid to be shown a different opinion about what happened. Just because every major media outlet backed this idea that it was unsubstantiated fraud does not mean it was unsubstantiated.
I
It's
remember
just-
the time.
it's a narrative. Just like going back to what they're trying to do to our website, what they're trying to do to Donnie.
Yeah.
It all interlinks. It's a narrative that one side pushes to get their way, to keep the
do you
people
remember
they support
Occupy
in
Wall
office.
Street? Do you remember Occupy Wall Street?
Yeah.
What happened to those Democrats and liberals?
Yeah, what
you know what I
happened to
mean?
them?
The ones that would just rally
99
against the
percenters?
system.
Remember them?
Yeah, rally against the system. The
Yeah.
media's lies. They're just holding up the corporate people. Oh my god,
Yeah.
they were populists. And then all of a sudden, now it's like it's flipped to where it's like, if you don't agree with everything that the corporate media says, then you are a Hitler. You are a
Yeah.
white supremacist. You are clearly hatred. I need to make a resolution and opine about this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's insanity.
Well, the crazy thing
Right.
is, this is what I was going to say earlier, was I went down a rabbit hole with the election fraud stuff. I don't necessarily buy into it for Trump's. I think you could make an argument that it was swayed because of things like the Biden laptop and information that was kind of suppressed that might have
Yeah.
changed votes, but not necessarily the ballots.
Sure.
But have you guys seen Hacking Democracy?
oh
About
yeah.
the 2000? I watched that. Insane that there was
Mhm.
actually a back door in these Diebold machines, and this lady actually exposed that you could change the results. Went out, showed the world, nothing really happened from it. They were supposed to do recounts, didn't,
Well,
and then you had hanging chads,
but see,
Yeah, hanging chads, yeah.
and people. That's what I don't understand is
But why would they recount it?
Well, the
they
crazy
got
thing
what
is-
they wanted.
you with 2016 and 2020, you would expect that elections are secure, there's no fraud. Meanwhile, people on both sides have been saying there's been fraud at least since the 2000s. Blatantly,
Yeah.
Democrats, Republicans, everybody's
Yeah.
calling for fraud.
Yeah, but when Trump says it, and we show
Hillary Clinton called for fraud in,
85
in the
Yeah.
2016
Joe
election.
Exactly.
Joe Biden can't fill a gymnasium in Humboldt County. I guarantee it. Got 85 million votes. I can't buy it, bro. And I can't buy that Trump would get 10 million more than he got the year before and got the election before and not win the election. That's historically never happened to an incumbent president before.
They used the predicate of a
Mhm.
virus that wasn't a threat. And they used a virus that wasn't a threat as a predicate to change voting laws under the predicate that it's saving people's lives, then we have to mail out the ballots. And then all these ballots went out to people. And then what happened is, as you can see on 2,000 Mules, a bunch of bad actors went and took all of those ballots, regardless of anybody ever seeing them or anything, signed them and filled them and stuffed the ballot box. and the sheer amount of them you can see on film and the data basically wins Biden the election. You know, what all that has to happen this time is that there have to be enough independents and people who just don't like how shitty everything is and don't like being told that they're a bad person because of they just have to show up and vote for the right person. Like if you liked the economy and the way things were in the 4 years that Trump was there and you just like didn't like his mean tweets, then maybe you should kind of reconsider your voting to, you know, because the gas prices, like literally everything's worse. Like everything is worse in the country at every measurable scale. And so that's why I think he's going to win, is because there's going to be more people that won't vote for Biden. And the only other thing that the Democrats can do is just roll out Big Mike.
His own primary, though.
You know, they can just roll out Big Mike.
Well, it seems like the DNC is pretty much shutting it down for him.
Yeah. I mean,
like they're trying to lock that in.
I think I can't tell you what's going to happen in 2024. I don't know if Trump will get reelected because I don't know if if people are going to get out and vote. It's up to the people. The people have to show up. You can't say you believe in democracy and then not vote. You got to show up, you know? And I really think, you know, it's your patriotic duty to vote. Like, if you don't vote, you are not allowed to bitch about a damn thing in this country. I've been told that since I was a kid. And my mom took me to the polls with her when she would vote, you know? I've voted since the first time I could. And I voted for Obama. Obama turned me into a Republican because I was like, yeah, hope and change, man. I'm making $8 an hour. And back in 2008, if people don't remember this, gas prices were $5.08 a gallon when we went to the polls. When I went to the polls for the first time and voted for Obama, I remember that. I remember it because I was making $8.23 an hour, and gas, I couldn't even earn 2 gallons of gas an hour. And I remember using this, like, we have to. Hope and change, man. I'm so for hope and change. What I didn't understand about the change part was this draw towards socialism and bringing racism back to America. And that's what I saw, and that's why I changed political preferences. I was never a registered Democrat. I was an independent. And then when I went to vote in the primary in 2011, I got a ballot without any Republicans on it. And I was like, what is this? And I learned right then and there the hard way that I had to register as a Republican if I wanted to vote for them in a primary. So I did. And I don't believe in a lot of the Republican philosophy. There's a lot of things socially that I just don't agree with. I think we need to let people be who they are. And I you know, as a kind of a newly found Christian, I don't really like to tote my Christianity very much, but as somebody who's kind of come back to the Lord, I would say that God loves us all. Like, right? That's what the Bible says. God loves us all. You do you. My job is to love you for who you are and welcome you to my side and have conversations with you and love you. I don't want to hate anybody, and I don't want to judge people for what they do in the bedroom. You do you. If that's what
as long as it doesn't affect me, we're good.
As long as it doesn't affect me, and as long as you're leaving the kids alone. I'm sorry. Yeah, as an adult person who has an 11-year-old son, I am not okay with extreme violence in front of children, drug use in front of children, nudity in front of children, sexual acts in front of children. I'm not okay with any of that. So why would I condone drag shows? It's a logical stance. I have nothing against anybody because of any social status of theirs, or I don't care if you're rich, poor, black, white. You know, you're my brother or sister in the world, and I want to respect you, but there are opinions that I disagree with, and that's why I write my opinions down and I share them with the world.
My problem is both sides are just so fucking crazy.
Fucking A, bro.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Amen.
It's like you start leaning a little right, and then they're like, abortions are illegal across the board. And you're like, you lost me. And then the left's like,
choice. It's
you can do
I
whatever
would
you
never,
want.
ever do that. But if you're going to do that and you can live with yourself, go right ahead.
Right.
It's just crazy.
Go right
There's
ahead.
like no middle ground anymore. There's no.
Yes, there is. The middle ground is in the conversation.
Yeah,
and that's where we need to get rid of the two-party system. Big fan of that idea. However, we keep buying into it every 4 years.
Well,
right or left, red or blue. You pick. No, we should have logical people running for office. Why can't we get a debate with the libertarian on the stage? Like, what is going on? It's because corporate America has pinged who they like.
Right.
Corporate America is going to push forward who they like. Corporate America, and then the people, the big 1%ers at the top, and I'm not just talking about rich people. I'm talking about the people who sit in the swamp in Washington, the people who sit in the swamp in in Sacramento. I'm talking about the people at the head. I'm talking about the GOP chairman. I mean, these are people who are bought and paid for, and they may not be getting something, but it's something freaking weird going on. It's a power trip.
It's really weird.
And it's not what America was intended to be. America was intended to be even George Washington warned against the political parties, right? It's not a good idea. Like, let's have open debate. Let's have conversations. That's how we have progress. We're never, and I hate that Democrats have coined the progressive thing, because I'm like, there's nothing progressive about telling people they have to accept this. You know,
Right.
there's nothing progressive about that. What's
Back to the future.
Yeah. Progress is when we sit down, we have logical conversations and solve problems. You know, I think we need to have more conversations, and people need to stand up and just quit letting 1% of the world be in charge of everything.
Well, that's why RFK is kind of interesting right now, because
I like him.
He's out here saying the CIA killed his uncle. He's not afraid to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, they did.
I just don't buy it. I don't buy his whole line. I think he's another Bernie Sanders. That's what I see.
Oh, I don't buy his. So
I would not vote for him, because
I wouldn't vote
see
for him
another
because of
Bernie
guns and
Sanders.
climate change.
And the legacy family thing. The legacy family. I don't
That's
want
Yeah,
to.
but he's got a
vote
pretty
for
good family
Trump.
behind him
Yeah.
with
Mhm.
JFK and Robert. I mean,
Yeah.
they kind of. If you had to
Well-
pick a family, would you pick them or would you pick the Clintons?
Right.
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Yeah, the Kennedys. But at the same time, it's just,
Yes.
can we just get other people to
Yes.
set
Well, that's the
I'm
big
there.
thing. It
That's
seems like
the
most
idea.
people don't want Trump and most people don't want Biden, and yet those are the two that
Don't
are
think
going
so.
to be running.
The Rasmussen poll. Have you seen that one? The Rasmussen poll that just came out.
I don't think
Lots of people want
Biden's going to
Trump.
win his primary.
Yeah, no, he's,
I really don't.
Trump
I don't-
did well.
I know a lot of people.
Unless they
I know
take
a
it
lot of
from him
people-
like they
well,
did.
that's
unless they
what's
did
gonna
Bernie
happen.
Sanders. So again, we're letting the system win. Again, like here's the system. Enjoy. You know. Does that make you sad? Here's a pill.
Yeah, but I think Democrats are willing to go along with that because they hate Trump so much. The Trump derangement syndrome is a
It's-
real thing.
TDS
yeah.
is real, man, and it's a plague.
Oh, yeah.
It's a plague.
I know people that will
Yeah.
refuse to talk about Biden's decline or acknowledge it,
Oh, yeah.
and will
Right.
shit on Trump.
Yeah.
At
and
the
they'll
drop
just
of a
change
hat.
the
Mhm,
subject, and
mhm.
it's amazing.
At least he's
And-
not Trump. At least
and-
he's not Trump.
Yeah.
We're gonna vote
Well,
for him.
and if we wanted to have a
Victims.
rap session about what we don't like about Trump, I'm happy to go there.
There's
I would.
plenty of.
I would
I'm
love to
very
go
critical
there.
of the
How I
guy.
had to shower
Yeah.
after voting for him in 2016 because I felt like so icky
Oh, I
about
didn't
his
feel that
whole
way
like
about
person.
it.
I did.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was a Ted
Yeah.
Cruz.
I was actually I was a fan.
I was a
of-
Rand Paul supporter, and then when
Yeah.
Rand dropped out, I was like, okay, Ted's my guy. And I know Ted's pretty far right, but at the same, what I like about Ted is he's a constitutionalist. That's what I liked about Ted Cruz. But when it came down to it, I was like, dude, the wicked witch of the West.
Oh my God.
Or Donald Trump, a successful businessman, and yeah, maybe he crapped on a few people and grabbed a few pussies along the way.
Just
but
one,
I could
from what I
give a
understand.
shit less personally because
Yeah, me neither.
he's a successful man, and I would rather put our country in the hands of someone who knows what success looks like, not what greed, corruption looks like.
Well, I think.
You know,
Well, greed and corruption. I think you could say Trump's still in that
Sure.
ballpark. The interesting thing about Trump is
corruption.
I
I'm
don't
not
think
sure.
he gave a fuck about anybody.
Yeah.
So he
He
couldn't be
wasn't
bought. but
buyable.
yeah,
That's what I liked about him. Yeah,
I think that's really
he
all
did
he had
prove
going
himself
for him.
for
And he
4
just
years.
didn't care.
He
didn't care.
had some stuff going for him. So if you're like, he was a huge populist, and he actually did
Mhm.
things that other populists just said that they would do, like getting us out of the Paris Accord. Like,
Yeah, but he said he was going to drain the swamp and then really just
Did
kept
no,
the
so
swamp.
this
well,
is
he
the,
needed
there-
he needed
with
that
his
for second
people.
term
Well,
to drain it.
here's the-
Really,
here's the
I mean,
thing.
but I don't know. I'm not. I can't
Well,
defend him on every
no,
front.
it's not even
'cause-
defending him. It's just being real. It's just
Yeah.
taking a step back and
Mhm.
and getting a hold of our expectations. We don't know what he was having to deal with. This is the first time he ever got into government, and he had to pick people from the GOP.
Sure.
He had to literally pick the best of the slime bags. You know what I mean? And then he was
Ugh,
was
Mike
literally
Pence, are you
leaning on the
kidding me?
opinion of slime bags to pick which slime bag is the one that he can kind of trust, right?
Yeah.
And so he was literally like in a room full of people with knives behind their backs looking to kill the guy. And you know this is true. Why? Because of the 2020 election. Because when he was cheated out, the
When they
GOP did
staged the
absolutely nothing.
January 6th
They,
thing.
they were like, bye, because the GOP wants nothing to do with Trump. Because Trump is Trump
he's
is
not one of them.
yeah, he's like the kryptonite to the
Yeah.
GOP.
he's not in the inner circle.
No,
No.
he's not, and they hate
No,
him.
they hate him.
They hate him more than they hate Joe Biden. That's why Joe Biden is the president right now.
Right.
I do believe that.
He's that big of a
strongly.
threat because
Yeah.
what
With
was
that
he was
smirk
against
on Lindsey
yes.
Graham's face, I will never forget it, dude.
It-
As he's being chased down by, what do
I
you have to
mean,
say about the fraud? And he's like,
dude,
huh,
exactly.
we do what we want.
None of them did anything. They all basically got behind and told him, you need to just lay over and take it.
Yeah.
On January 6th, when when the weak ass protest happened and they finally cut the cameras, when they came back on and everybody had the rehearsed speech, we're like, oh my God, after the violence that I saw today, I can no longer send these people back.
It was worse than
You know,
9/11.
I just
That's the crazy part. When they started saying it was as bad as 9/11,
Oh
it's
my
going to go down in
God.
history as the
Oh my
next
goodness.
9/11.
That's
Come
because why they were
on.
saying that? That's because
It's part of the
because it was
narrative.
pre-rehearsed. It was pre-rehearsed, and it was what happened was the event didn't live up to their pre-rehearsed speech, but they fucking read the lines anyways
Yeah.
because they're all Ron Burgundy's. Duh, 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 duh. Oh
Okay,
my
pause.
God,
Do you
it's
think
good
it was?
9/11.
Do you think
Oh
it
my-
was that malicious though, or do you think it
No.
was just they're incompetent at their jobs, and
Yes.
so they had something
There's
crazy
that
happen
too.
and tried to
There's that
make
too.
it more salacious than it actually was?
I do.
Yes.
I do think that they
Both.
said no to security, which was stupid. They knew 750,000 people came to the Capitol that day. If Trump was inciting violence, they would have been armed. They're Republicans. They would have been armed, and they'd still be there today.
Well, that's
I
the crazy
genuinely
thing.
believe that.
They cleaned it out in like 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
Which nobody
Yeah,
talked about.
because you know what? It was a very peaceful protest. Besides the little shots they got of their well-trained dog that they dragged through there in that Jacob guy or whatever his name was.
Jacob Chansley.
Yeah, everybody's got all this sympathy for him. Oh, get him out of jail. Blah blah blah. I was like, he was the paid actor when Tucker Carlson showed that footage of them like primping him for a photo op. I'm like, wait a minute.
Or
Is
when he
nobody
thanked them
looking at
on the floor and
Mhm.
gave a little speech and said, "I
Right.
want to thank the officers."
Yeah, that paycheck's really gonna help my family out. I'll spend a couple days in jail for that, like, or a couple years in jail. Why not? I
It's-
wonder how much money he got for that. I'm just curious. We'll
See,
never
it feels
know.
like that's where it gets dicey, is because there's the camp of it wasn't as bad as it was made out to be.
Definitely.
That the
was.
only person that
Obviously.
died was the rioter that
victim.
was there. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
girl.
Ashley Babbitt. Mhm.
And then there's the side that thinks it was a setup, it was a fed op, that Ray Epps, that it was all
Those are the
planned
same
out.
sides.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
that's the same.
definitely- it
I
definitely-
You buy into all of
hold
them.
both of
Mhm.
those.
I don't know if I buy into the idea that
setup
it was.
thing?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that there were definitely feds there. I think Ray Epps was a fed, and that they
Mhm.
tried to get people to go in.
Watch
I don't
Alex.
know.
Watch Alex's War. That's a documentary about Alex Jones and his whole experience around January 16th.
I don't know if Jones is the best
No,
source.
I know, I
After
know,
after
I
his
know.
trial.
Look, I know, but what I'm saying is, with a critical mind, sit down and watch the film. From I'm gonna see a bunch of footage from this day that I haven't seen from these angles. I'm gonna hear from these guys' perspective, and he basically lays out what went wrong that day and why. And you tell me if it was all set up. That film to me was like, oh yeah, that sets it in good, because what it shows is that Alex Jones was trying his very, very hardest to keep everything that happened that day from happening, like for 4 hours leading up to it happening. Screaming at the top of his lungs, like, please,
I've never
God,
seen
don't
it
go
either.
inside.
Yeah.
Oh my God, please just. I mean, the guy.
Oh, I did hear that he was out there telling people not to go in. That it was a
Dude,
fed op.
It's the most
Don't do it.
It's the most desperate thing you've ever seen in your life. And he's trying his hardest to, because he knows what's happening. And he even explains it on camera that day. He explains it afterwards, different interviews.
Mhm.
And when you just watch the film, I know that he's out there, you know, and then he says all kinds of sorts of things. It's just have a critical mind, watch it and go, wow, isn't that fascinating? That just the place where he had his, because he actually had the he actually filled out the paperwork to have the protest there. That Alex Jones did that. Most people don't know that. Alex Jones
I
filled
didn't
out
know
the
that.
paperwork to have the protest at the Capitol. That was Alex Jones doing in his people. Okay. When they showed up there and they realized there's agitators that were trying to break down the door and do all that kind of stuff, he realized that it was basically being infiltrated and a black flag event was happening, false flag event was happening. And he was just immediately like, no, it was just too late.
And sure, there's
It's too
mob
late.
mentality.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guarantee there was some mob mentality, people going in there that weren't a part of the whole scheme. But I do think it was a scheme. I think the American people were gaslit by the whole thing.
Mhm.
And what it does is it furthers their narrative to demonize people like me
Right.
and Donnie,
Right.
who might be a little right leaning. but that doesn't mean that we're all just a bunch of terrorists, me and Donnie,
Yeah.
Well,
just
there's no right
terrorizing.
leaning anymore. You're just far right extremist.
Exactly.
Right,
Or
exactly.
you're just a crazy
Exactly.
leftist, right? No.
All you
No.
have to
Most of us
do-
land right in the middle somewhere.
All you have to do to be
Yeah.
hated just like me is to not want LGBTQ people to twerk in front of kids.
Yeah.
If you have that,
Such a jerk.
I'm sorry, but you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're a homophobe, you're a pejorative. It's just the way it works. You can't. There's the scale, and as soon as you're critical of these people for doing things, that you could be critical of literally anybody else of doing the same thing. For whatever reason, when you have that, you voice that criticism, you're now evil.
Well, you see this double standard, Donald Trump Jr. wrote a book on it called Liberal Privilege, and it's where, there's all these exceptions made for the left, right? The media lets left get away with all kinds of things. If the media saw that Trump had all the questions on a piece of paper before he called on people, do you think they would have called him out on it? Definitely. But see, Joe Biden gets away with it because they're all part of it. And they're all bought into it because they gave the question to him so that he would know what they're going to ask. That's not journalism. And when Trump was confronted multiple times confronted by journalists, and he would stop and talk to them and answer their questions. Joe Biden has never taken questions from confrontational journalists that that come to him and say blah 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 blah. Oh, this kind of ice cream. It's like it's a double standard all the way around. But at least he's not Trump. To your point, it's like, well, wait a minute.
Well, it is interesting watching the media fall in line to such a degree. It's a little uncomfortable.
For America, though, it's really scary for America because what it does is it demonizes one side and it victimizes the other. It promotes one idea and it mutes another. What's a threat to democracy? What's more of a threat to democracy? Me saying my little opinion, or an entire narrative being pushed by giant corporate America hand in hand with our government? That's scary. That's not what our forefathers intended for America.
Well, we're in a weird place in time where if you are on the left and you lie, but you lie in a way that still benefits the left, you're okay.
Right.
I mean, the crazy thing with January 6th was I think it was Anderson Cooper, you had a ton of primetime news anchors come out and say, oh, officers died, officers had their heads beaten down
nobody
with
died.
Fire extinguishers.
None of them died.
It didn't happen.
No, it was all lies.
But you didn't have to come back and say, oh, actually, we got this wrong. This didn't happen. There was none of that.
They never did that.
They just moved on.
Because no one's gonna call them on account to it.
But the problem is people still think that like me saying that is a conspiracy theory, but it's a fact.
Right, but to your point, people are intellectually lazy and they don't care to read about it. They don't care to dig and do the research. And then there's people like us, all three of us here who have dug in and done the research and we know the truth. And then we're demonized for speaking it. So who's the bad guy here?
But the problem is what they're doing is effective. It's very
that's the
effective.
biggest problem.
Yeah,
it is effective, and it's morphing minds, and it's not a good thing because people are not being told to think for themselves anymore, and it's an assault on liberty. It really is. It's an assault on because liberty, it's your God-given right, your God-given ability to formulate your own opinion. You to be able to look at something and say, this is how I feel about it, and the ability to speak it as a right, as a right, as an American citizen. You're able to actually say how you feel and what you think. But everything beside, if the minute you're told that you're a conspiracy theorist, or you're muted, or you're punished, or your website's taken down, or you're demonized for who you are and your own opinions, that's a form, in my view, is it's liberty versus slavery. So you're a slave to what you're told, and you repeat that, and you fall in line, and you get in line, and you sit at your desk, and you use your pencil with your right hand, and we'll cut off your left hand if you use it. You know what I mean? There's I mean, this goes back a long time, where what separates us from human beings, from animals, is our ability to think for ourselves, as our ability to make our own choices, and our ability to not just fall in line. And so our forefathers wanted to protect that. And now we have a big assault on that. And that's what I want to call out more than anything in the world is I just want everyone to please just think for yourself. You know, if you think I'm the devil, go read what I've had to say. You know, I'm not this bigot, this terrible person, I promise. And I want to talk to everybody. You know, the bottom of my perception division and hate article part 1, I asked people to reach out to me. Nobody has reached out to me to have a conversation. Nobody.
It's because the other side doesn't want to have one. That's why. They just want you to not exist.
Well, again, I think it's because you guys are toxic by proxy.
Yeah, exactly.
That you guys are in this weird space where people don't want to talk to you because they think, oh, if I talk to you guys now, I'm affiliated with you, and then can't go down that wormhole.
Right. Even though, you know, I think that if business owners in this community knew where we stand, if people really knew what we were about, they'd be calling us, wanting to buy advertising from us. They'd want to be on our website. They'd want to submit their own opinion pieces if they actually knew the real story. But see, the journalists, so-called journalists in this community, don't believe in real journalism. They believe in a narrative, and they're pushing that narrative. And they're probably going to be successful at it. We have the only marketing we've been able to do is guerrilla marketing. Here's my flyer, here's my card, here's a flyer, here's my card. I mean, over and over and over again, we do what we can, but nobody's going to let us buy advertising. No one's, you know, we're not in a position to buy advertising. Yeah. We're 100% volunteers. We have no money, and we're fine with that. Yeah. We're okay because it's not about making money. It's all about changing minds. It's all about bringing people over and asking them to think for themselves. You know,
how do you do that in a system like this, though, where people
just don't give up?
Yeah,
you just keep telling people.
I don't know if that's enough
because beating the horn, dude.
Because the conspiracy theory branding is so good,
right?
And because some conspiracy theories are just that. I mean, you had QAnon, but you also have the Hunter Biden laptop.
Yeah,
and yet both of those are still branded as conspiracy theories. You have the COVID lab leak.
That's what happened.
And it's not.
The president of the United States said that within 1 month of us shutting down our entire economy. The president of the United States stood up there and said this came out of a lab in Wuhan. But no one, oh no, he's just a racist. He's just being Trump. And wait a minute, that's what they were telling him. That's what what the experts were telling him at the time. Oh, well, we need to pull back that narrative, and we need to, you know. And it's just interesting.
This is what this is what it's all about. Okay, what it's all about is nationalism. Okay. And it's about nationalism versus globalism. And you have these massive companies like the ones that are up on the picture behind us right over here. Kodak, you've got, you know, Marriott, you've got Coca-Cola, you've got, I mean, you name it, all of the different sports agencies, Sony, all the electronics. I mean, just all the huge, massive American corporations, they all buy widgets from China, and they all buy widgets from other places when China can't produce those for them. They look for the cheapest widgets they can get, and they import them, and then they sell them for massive amounts of like profit margin. Good for them.
Well, let's talk about. We could talk about the mines for the batteries for your electric cars too. But
the whole thing. My point about it though is that so when you have nationalism and globalism, you have this nationalist president come up, and you have these same corporate powers that have people that petition the government to do things to their bidding. Right? They have senators in their back pocket. They've got congressmen in their back pockets, governors, you name it. Right? These are all people that basically got where they are because they're there so that they can, you know, make something into law, and then as soon as they're done with their position, they're going to get a job at whatever place they grease the wheels for. And it's the same revolving door that everybody's been talking about. Bernie's been talking about. Every populist has talked about since the 70s. And what happened was that when Trump won, which was the most glorious moment in political history, was seeing all of the pundits and all of the idiots cry, "Oh my God, it's the end of the world!"
Some of the best gifts ever.
And but what was really happening that day was they were realizing that here is an actual nationalist that gives zero fucks, that is going to go in there and he's actually going to do the things that he's saying he's going to do to the best of his ability, sub the things that he can't do because there's too many people that are in his way, stabbing his back or whatever. I sound weird.
You just cut out.
Okay. Yeah. And so there's all these. Is the mic off?
Oh, there you go. Wow.
Okay, there.
We're back.
Okay. Yeah. And so there's all these people that, have vested interests in Trump not being the president. Once he had clearly made it clear that he could not be bought and that he was the person that he said he was, that he was going to go into the UN and tell them thanks but no thanks. He was going to go into the Paris Accord and say thanks but no thanks.
We're back.
Okay.
Oh, was
Tech
that
problems.
should I rewind the clock?
No, we're good.
Okay. Was it recording the whole time?
I think it'll pick you up on.
Okay. Basically,
mics.
So this whole time that Trump was in office, these corporate entities were scared shitless because their vested interest in China and these other was under attack by the very owner of the very president of the United States, who was basically saying who basically, if someone wasn't going to play ball with them, he'll have tariffs on those goods, and that affects corporations.
Right.
Those same
Even
corporations.
his own corporation.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. He had tons of his own products made in China too.
Those same corporations though were the corporations that all buddied up with the liberals and everything during the election, in their own words, to basically save the election. They weren't saving the election; they were saving their own bottom dollar. What they were doing is they were making it to where they can keep on going and keep the lights on and keep this everything that what it is in America, to keep it humming. That's what it's all about. It's the entire thing's a huge orgy. It's about keeping the humming, and everybody's trying to just dip in and just dip out as much as they possibly can and just cash in. And everybody's just in it to fuck everybody else. And there's factions. It's like people like New World Order, the Illuminati. No, it's like, dude, there's all these different factions of powerful people, and they walk through different doors consistently and constantly, depending upon what's good for that person and their selfish interests and what corporate entity owns them. You know what I mean? And so it's just like the darkness of the back end of this. Like when you're talking about the GOP, when we went in the GOP, what we learned was basically when you show up for the GOP and you're passionate, you want to do something and you want to change things. Guess what? It's like more freaking gates and walls and things to jump and doors to jump through and people to like please, and just it makes no sense. And the entire time that me and her are putting in the skin, sweat, and blood into the GOP, zero communication from the top down.
Nothing.
Zero. Not an email, not a welcome, not a, hey, we heard that you're a new volunteer. Here's a packet of some stuff that you can do to be a badass for the GOP.
We couldn't even get a copy of the bylaws until they wanted to throw them under the bus over them. They never even gave they never even gave us new people a copy of their bylaws that they said he was in violation of, and that's why they wanted to remove him from the committee. It was like, well, could you provide a copy of those?
Like I always tell people, I always tell my friends and family, imagine some expectations that you would have of joining a political party, and you're the smallest expectation you have, you're wildly off in left field if you think that's true. It's not even at all. Like they won't help you. It's sink or swim. Everybody and what's crazy is everybody that's there is in the same position as you.
And no one wants to step up and do anything.
Right.
You go to these meetings and
insane.
half the room is just sitting there quiet, like, I showed up. Tell me what to do.
Yeah, I'm here.
And then the rest of everybody else there is like, well, I guess I'll run this and I'll run that. And there's like these two or three people that are doing everything. So we brought up the website got brought up, and Donnie was like, me, I will do it. And I was like, I want to help. like, yes, that is so our world. And I purchased Hootsuite, and I had their social media dialed. I had them going, I was putting out, I had talking points being forwarded to me from the GOP to put out, different articles that they supported and were, I was playing the game for them. I was doing everything they needed us to do. And as soon as they decided, well, Donnie raised his voice to a little old lady on the committee in the parking lot by saying, what did you
allegedly?
Allegedly. He was joking.
Happened.
I watched it all happen with my own eyes.
Yeah.
He was joking with her, and she decided to get offended.
Yeah.
That's literally all that happened.
The traffic was super loud behind her, and she was like,
and
what?
She's a little old lady.
And I was like, who are you talking about on the thing earlier? Da, 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 da. Like all jovial. You know what I mean?
She was just
I raised
joking.
my voice.
Yeah.
And so, but like, dude, that whole experience was just, it opened my eyes more than anything. It's like the entire nation is ran by a bunch of people. These political parties, they're all ran by just random people who show up with, there's no litmus test or anything at all. Just anybody can show you. You tie your shoes in the morning, you brush your teeth, great, excellent. Walk through the door, you're good to go, But then the fascinating thing is that when you start trying to actually do things and want to actually get things done, that's when you get all the resistance. All of a sudden there's and like with our website, we're like, oh, we think it's probably a good idea to give all of the Republicans in Humboldt County a place where they can post blog posts, because everywhere else they try to say their opinion, they get censored. And guess what their reaction was?
No.
Shut him up. Censor him.
God,
Shut him up. Get him out of here.
Yeah.
What in the... Republicans didn't want to provide a free space for Republicans on their own website to speak their minds about local things that they care about, which is the
they had
predicate
the
for them
voter rolls.
showing
Anyone
up.
who created an account on their website to blog,
Oh,
all they had to do
thank
was go,
God.
"Yep, you're a Republican.
Yeah.
Go ahead."
We could have automated it.
We could have automated all of that. They
Yeah.
didn't want to hear our ideas. What they wanted to do is throw parties, raise money, fill their bank account, and then pretend to virtue signal don't only to registered Republicans running for office. So not one candidate in Humboldt County received a dime from the Humboldt County Republican Party, because they weren't running as Republicans, because the whole theme here is that you can't win an election in Humboldt County as a Republican. And if they speak it enough, everyone will believe it. And they spoke at every freaking meeting, every time we got together. Well, yeah, we can't really donate to, actual. So the guy who ran against Hoffman, he was our chairman at the time, right? And he, after it was all said and done, they had kicked Donnie off the thing, and I went back to it. I think I only went to like 2 meetings after that.
2 or 3. Something.
But I went in and I was like, number one, I was like, I don't understand why you guys, as soon as they ousted him, it was Liberty, she's gone, like she's nobody to us. Right. And I was like, I done all this stuff for you guys. They thought I was conspiring with Donnie to take over the GOP, whatever, that would have been great. Maybe we'd actually win something. But at the same time, this county isn't prepared for the GOP here is full of a bunch of old, dying people. They don't want young people involved, and they will kill the political party here by just dying off. No one wants to step forward and become a part of this, because the new Republican Party, the MAGA people, we don't care who you bang.
Yeah.
And we don't care.
I don't care what your religion is.
And honestly, if you can live with yourself, I've said this many times, if you can live with yourself, go ahead and have that abortion. But personally, ain't gonna happen for me.
Same.
Okay. You do you.
Well, we're in California. We're not changing that anyway.
Right. And so this is the theme that we kept going over with them over and over again. You guys, this isn't Kentucky. You can't win on social issues. Stop talking about them. They're like, where's the religious section on our website? It's not happening, bro.
Right.
Sorry. That's not how we win elections. We're not going to win elections in Humboldt County by putting up a biblical
Where's
verse
the
every
electorate
day.
filter it? We need an electorate filter it right here on the website, where when the electorate comes here, they see a thing, and then literally a massive portion of them just says no thank you.
So at this last meeting that I attended, this guy ran against Hoffman, and you'll remember this. He said, "Oh yeah, if I can get endorsements from all the from all the Republican parties in
precincts,
the
or
precinct,
whatever?
no, the congressional district 2 or whatever of California, then I will get money from the state party. The California GOP will give me money." They didn't give him a dime. They didn't give him a dime for his campaign. And so I happened to have some clout on Twitter, and so I reached out to the guy in charge of the purse, and he said, well, we targeted our money to where we thought it would be most effective. And it worked. I mean, we won a lot of seats in California. And they did. They won a lot of seats in the valley, in their red part of the area. It's down in Southern California. It was pretty red. If you actually look at it, there's a lot of flip counties in California. But Humboldt County was just not important enough to the California GOP. So they don't even work with each other. The national party doesn't support the state party. The state party doesn't support the local parties. So why bother? Again, another reason for people to just stay home and not vote. And that's why the two-party system is a joke. It's
Even
an absolute
the
joke, and the
DNC
joke's on all of us.
What's crazy is the DNC is equally as boring, as equally as lame, as
And
equally
is
as ran by
dying,
old
too.
people.
Oh, yeah.
It's all old ladies.
Absolutely.
And so
Do you remember that I got a picture of the lady at the fair?
they don't even know how to use
asleep
their
at
phones.
booth?
Yeah, asleep at their booth. They don't even know how to use phones. You know what I mean? They're like, can you help me load the image up on my phone? I can't get past the lock screen. It's like,
They don't want it's like the old guard does not want to get out of the way and let
Yeah.
young people come in and handle business. I think that if the young Republicans in Humboldt County all walked into that office and said, "We got this, go home, retire," I think that we could actually change some minds and have some real conversations from that political side of the spectrum. But at the same time, it's a losing party. They lose
Yeah.
elections here
Mhm.
because they are terrible about getting there. It's going to be a long time before we can turn Humboldt red because
I'd honestly be more
Yeah.
interested in showing up the libertarians' door here and seeing what's
Yeah.
up with those guys.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I want to too, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't like, I stay on Twitter because I don't like echo chambers. That's why I'm not all over, Truth Social and Gab and Getter. I want to argue with people. And so I feel like if I went into a libertarian meeting, I would feel like I was with my people, which is great. And it's good to have that camaraderie, but they don't even get to stand on the stage for debates. They don't even end up on the
True.
ballot most of the time. And it's because the big corporate America, those guys you're talking about, they don't want the people, which I think is mostly representative of the Libertarian Party. I think that more people are drawn to that
Mhm.
or no party preference. People
Yeah.
people are just, I don't want to be politically associated, They tend to not register as one or the right or left, and they go for these middle ground parties. And I don't think the corporate America or the people in charge, the 1%ers, want them involved in politics in America.
Not at all.
And that's why they're not sitting in office right now.
Yeah.
Because I think if the people really got to see free and fair debate, I think we'd see way more middle of the road people in office.
Totally, dude. Totally. Like, I mean, without it, I mean, even I would say that we actually see middle of the road people show up, but the problem
Mhm.
is that they're not given any kind, like, as soon as anybody voices anything outside of the spectrum of acceptability,
Mhm.
they're immediately demonized on one side or the other. Like, you can't. Like, Tulsi Gabbard, she's a great example, I think, of like a populist that doesn't quite fit into any box. Like, she was a Democrat, now she's kind of a Republican, but then
Nah,
you see what I'm saying, though?
yeah,
Yeah.
she's no longer a Democrat, but I definitely don't think we're not gonna see her register as a Republican.
No.
I
Well,
really don't think that's gonna
Oh,
happen.
she did register.
Democrats
Did she?
branded
Yeah,
her
she
as a
switched. Yeah.
freaking
Interesting.
Russian agent. I mean,
Yeah.
they pushed her out of the party.
Exactly.
The Hawaiian native
Well,
soldier.
that's what I'm
veteran.
saying.
The
That's what I'm
veteran.
saying.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. You can't be a part of their. It's like they're such a
There's a
hardcore
line.
cult that if you don't literally
Mhm.
sip every single, if they make up a new batch of the Kool-Aid, you got to sip that new batch. And if you
Mhm.
don't say the words and do the things and dance the dance and wear the clothes,
Right.
then you're out. You know what I mean? And it's like what blows me away is like you say, like, it's effective. And I'm like,
It
yeah,
is.
cults are effective, and I don't
Cult
know,
mindset, yeah.
but it blows me away because I'm just like, it might be effective, but to the people that are on the outside, there's people that just don't care, don't have time, and just don't pay
Ignorance is bliss.
attention, which is the majority of my think. And then
Mhm.
there's the people who are passionate, who do care, and then that align, the ones that do and align with us, that's awesome. And then there's the passionate ones that do care and they align with them. You know what I mean? And it's just one or the other, and it's just you have a very, very loud minority over on their side that's supported by every corporate structure that's out there
Mhm.
in existence. You know what I mean? With billions upon billions of dollars, that corporate structure wants nothing more than another Biden, another Biden, another Biden,
15
another
years ago, they
Biden,
wanted
another
another Bush,
Biden.
though.
Yeah.
Like, right? So
Yeah.
15 years ago, we saw a different. We saw these, the Wall Street people, the 99%, the one against the 1%ers.
Oh, well,
We
Bush was
saw-
fake though. Bush
I-
wasn't a real
No,
Republican.
I understand.
Oh yeah. Sorry. My bad.
This
My
is what
bad.
I'm
My bad.
saying,
Yeah.
though, is that corporate America wants whoever they get a say in this. I think
Right.
I don't think it's just corporate America, though. I think you've got corporate America, you've got the media, and you've got the government. Those are the three branches, or you've got the politicians. Those are your three true branches of government, in my opinion.
Corporate
Corporate
they own
America.
media though. The media is owned by corporate
I
America.
understand that, but the
It's
media
like-
is the talking
Yeah,
head
yeah.
for
It's
the
the PR,
corporations,
yeah.
and they validate the politicians, right?
Correct.
So you've got those are your true three branches of government. Those
Right.
are the people in charge right now, and we can stand up. Though that's the idea. Everyone's seen the mural. I just put our supervisors' faces on it. The board game on everyone's back, and the power heads are sitting around it, and it just says, right? It says, "If we all stand, the game is over." All we have to do is stand up. Gandhi can make peace. without violence, so can we. We just have to stand in unity and get behind the idea that we're not okay with the richest people in this country and the most corrupt people, the politicians in this country, paving the way for this country and its future.
The richest people in this county paving the way for the richest people in this county and the people with a certain political ideology to constantly be in control. If you're sick and tired of having the same 5 lousy websites dictate the narrative of Humboldt County, then Lost Coast Populist is for you.
Yeah.
If you're sick and tired of having this county's branding be defined by 5 leftist, Marxist supporting left-wing, looking like Craigslist websites, then Lost Coast Populist is for you.
Craigslist. I love how you can play.
They do. They look like a Craigslist website
I love that Times
from the
Standard wants you to
MySpace.
pay to read their articles. It's like, bro, ain't nobody gonna pay
Dude,
for
are you
that.
kidding
Like,
me?
oh wait, those little old ladies that sit in the GOP office, yeah, they pay for that.
Oh, I bet they do.
It's just a dying. The paper's dying. The paper died, right?
Why won't
And
they
now they're
accept my
online.
comments? I put comments on their comment section. They always get deleted.
You have to hit submit, Betty.
No, they don't. They hit submit. It's just Angie C. Angie C. The moderator over at Lost Coast Outpost. She's like, nope, this is a GOP lady. Got to censor her. It's. I mean,
It's just interesting.
it's like such an echo chamber. Like their entire paradigm is like it's all predicated on a lie. It's like as long as you stay in their box and you don't think out and you don't think for yourself and you don't question your reality, you're going to be great as a liberal. You're a Democrat voter. Good for you. Go.
What's your political philosophy? I'm
I
interested.
feel like a man without a country in a lot of ways in terms of political affiliation.
Yeah.
I think both sides are just fucking crazy.
Oh yeah.
I think that the interesting thing on the left is this willful acceptance of censorship and almost a want to have daddy step in and just watch you and
So
watch
weird.
everybody.
Totally.
And that
Yeah.
makes me really uncomfortable. The right makes me really uncomfortable with the things like abortion, with their stance on drugs, with a lot of these antiquated ideas that they just can't seem to let go of and adjust
Right.
to the times. And it's like,
Now-
where do you go? I can't go over here because they're kind of fucking crazy. I can't go over here because they're the same on an
Right.
I
opposite end.
think that they don't let go of those in the GOP on purpose. I
I
think
think that's what you said last time
Yeah.
too.
I think it's.
I think that they
it's
go
part of their-
abortion because there's people in there that know that when they say that all kinds of people like me go, I don't want to be part of this. You know what I mean? Because like
they'll turn off anybody who's socially accepting, and that
Right.
and that's where neither political party sits at the table with the people.
Nope.
At the end of the day, the people sit at the table, and I can have conversations with people I completely disagree with. Any day, I would love. Oh, I just want random people to call me, please. I want to be challenged. I do. I want my ideas to be challenged because that's how I learn. That's how we learn from each other. Maybe they'll learn something from me. That you're going to pay reparations to people in America today for slavery that happened 200 years ago when we have literal slaves still on this earth in
Yeah.
China, in Russia. Nobody wants to talk about the real slaves that are really still on there. I went to Thailand in 2008, and it was I was only 21 at the time, and I went and I was there to see my mom. She was teaching English down there, and I was in Phuket, and I was like, who are all these people in these blue shirts? She goes, oh, those are the Myanmar people. And I was all, okay. And she's like, yeah, they're slaves to the Thai government. They're building roads, and they're not getting. I was like, what? This is crazy. I saw slavery with my own eyes in 2008. And then we're driving down the road, and there's this beautiful resort on the left. Traveling teaches you a lot about the world. Beautiful resort on the left, and literal shackles like you see on those 35 cents a day could save a life commercials on this other side. It blew my mind. I'm watching people I've seen with my own eyes contrast the effects of slavery, like in a real country, railed by a king, by the way. And so interesting that they're allowed, that we just give them a pass. Like, as human beings, come on, globalists. Let's stand up against slavery. I thought you have a problem with that. Oh, only in America and only 200 years ago? It's just so weird, right? I don't know.
What's weird too is that the shrugging off of conspiracy theory. powerful people getting along with each other to like make sure that their bottom lines don't get sunk into nothing and that they fucking lose their position of power and wealth. Who would do that?
Like, how do you just shrug that off?
You have to be stupid. Like if you don't believe in conspiracy theories, then you're retarded.
Well, conspiracy theory is a term that was invented to diminish argument, right?
Yeah.
To tell so you're not valid. That's just a conspiracy theory. It's a tagline, and to your point, it works.
Yeah.
It's incredibly effective.
Yeah.
It is.
And right now, it's an incredible tool against those on the right because it seems like those are the only people that are watching those things.
Well, it's an incredible tool against anybody who's critical of the narrative. Because then those people,
which again seems to be only people on the right.
Well, no, that's because they peg those people.
They've done a great job
at the right. Like I could line up to you people out the door right now that signed this petition, right? And you'd be like, these aren't far right people just by looking at them. You cannot be far right and wear corduroy. It's just not possible. Okay, it's not possible. You can't be far right and have dreadlocks. It's not possible. Okay. Okay, it's just not okay. So you might have like some like center right leanings, but you're not far right.
There's
you know
all
what I mean?
kinds of like triggering
though?
Terms, though, right? So
do you know what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah, I know.
I don't think it's
mean?
far
Like
right. I think it's just not liberal.
Yeah,
those are the ones branded as conspiracy
New
theorists.
Age liberal.
Exactly, the New Age far.
Classic liberal.
Well,
totally.
there's all these little things, right? So if you bring a conspiracy theory, you mentioned nationalism. Donnie, you're white. You can't say that. Like,
I'm actually a person of color.
I know. But they're judging you for your. I'm just saying they're looking at you.
I am a person of color. I am BIPOC. Is that
BIPOC?
BIPOC? Is that BIPOC?
Black Indigenous people of color.
Yeah, that's me. I'm BIPOC as a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Cherokee Indian in the house. I ain't white. My
dad
people,
is a dark
my people were murdered by white people.
I don't care what color your skin is. I'm human. That's what I say. I'm human. And when I had to fill out all my paperwork as I bought this really nice 9mm. I'm really excited to get it next week. Anyway, so I filled out all this paperwork, and you have to disclose your race. And I'm just like, where's the human box? And the guy's like, come on, just check the white box, move on with your life. And I was like, but if you saw my dad, you would not think I was white. But okay, I'm a white girl. Let me put myself in a box, I think all that stuff I think it's all just divisive. But you mentioned nationalism. So you're a white nationalist because you mentioned it, and
Sure.
and that's just who you are, Donnie.
Sure,
okay,
fine.
and I don't care.
You can call me a white nationalist. I'm fine with that.
I know, but this is what I'm saying. These are all these are all triggering terms to diminish your argument, to not have to listen. Oh, I don't have to listen to Liberty Lady, man. She's
dude.
Yeah.
Not only
she's just some far right crazy Looney Tune who thinks that we should live back in the day.
Well, you're friends with a white nationalist, and on top of it, I'm actually proud of the fact that I'm white, and I'm proud of the fact that I'm proud of the fact that I'm white, and I'm proud of the fact that I'm a white nationalist. So does that make me white pride or whatever that means?
That clip is getting.
That one's gonna blow up.
That one's gonna be a banger, huh? Oh my God, there it is! It's proof. Donnie's the white pride. He's a fucking racist. He's a Nazi. He's a. Oh my God, I can already. They're probably typing on your shit right now. Oh my God, I hate him. Like, what's funny is like most of these people, if like we bumped into each other like at Safeway and had a conversation, they'd be like, "That's a fucking righteous guy. I like that guy. He's all right."
What about the lady at the CR thing?
Yeah,
this
so
was
good.
so cute. So Donnie's cute. Okay, sorry, it's such a girly thing to say. But anyway, Ash is filming, and Donnie respectfully walks up to the director and says, "Hey, we'd like to go inside and film." And he goes like,
It's
"No."
the College of the Redwoods.
He goes, "No, ain't gonna happen. Like, no, you're not approved. You're not going in." And he's like, "All right, well, thank you very much, And this little lady, she walked. That was so respectful.
Then I asked him,
the way you asked. She was so impressed with his manners.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm not a dick.
I did ask a good question though. I asked him. I said, "But
Yeah.
in your recollection, do you recall ever in the history of this theater ever having press be denied to come in and film whatever's happening there?" And he said, "No, that's never happened before." I'm like, "Oh, fuck."
They don't see us as the press, though. They see us as far right activists,
right?
Because that's what the narrative has been pushed by the supervisors who don't acknowledge us, that we have a business license, that we're acting as a business, that we are an LLC, we are a real company, and we are really a media company. The supervisors don't care about that. They don't even go to us when things get sent to them from our own website. So they diminish us as our existence by just labeling us and crapping on us. But I don't think it's going to. I hope it doesn't last, but I think it. I mean, it's going to be a hard narrative to shift.
Could
You
you
know,
imagine though, like these people,
the
they're
right to
like,
hate guy,
hey, could you
right?
imagine these people who are like, say my pronouns or you don't, or it's like you're like literally saying I don't exist. It's like you're saying I don't exist. And it's like literally we're treated like we don't exist, like
Yeah,
consistently by
all the
like
time.
corporate entities, the government, the.
I go to E&F and I put up a flyer for Las Coast Populist every time I go on their little board, and I put it up, and sometimes I have to put it up again, and sometimes it's still there. And
Yeah.
it's
Well,
like,
again, once you guys are in that brand again, once you get pegged in a certain direction,
sure.
it'll be interesting to see if you guys can come out from under that.
I think it's good. This is what I think we're doing is we're opening. No, so this is the thing. Nothing like this has existed here. That's why they hate us. That's why we're so dangerous. The reason why we're such a threat is the mere fact that we are who we are and we won't shut up and we won't go away. And
We're going to
they don't
continue
own,
to call out
yeah,
their hypocrisy.
they don't
We're
own
not
the
gonna
internet.
Stop, you
Yeah,
know.
they don't own
We,
the internet.
as
you know?
long as the First Amendment exists, we're going to continue to push our own narrative,
Yeah.
which is free speech, freedom, logical thinking, and hey, here's some information.
Right.
You pick.
Yeah.
You
it's,
know?
it's just all it is like it's a bunch of hypocrites, and
Yeah.
there's 5 media organizations that have been all fighting for the same market
Mhm.
consistently for decades here.
Yeah.
There's been no one that's been talking to or speaking for anybody who's center right at all. And I'm talking right up to the center of right. You know what I mean? And so what it is you have like this massive amount of the population that doesn't show up to vote. No one speaks to them. No one cares about them.
Mhm.
No one, you know, and so a lot of it is like, and so right now they're afraid to even like look at anything, pay attention to anything, or being associated with anything that isn't part of the cult. But it's like, well, when you have someone like us who is standing so far out of it, what we're doing is we're opening up the thing. It's like, what we're doing is making it to where now people can be center right, and to people who are on the left, they're like, well, that guy's not as bad as Las Coast Populist. You know what I mean? We basically we're taking the needle and going bagink, you know what I mean, to this side in their perspective, and the people that are on our side are like, yeah, whatever, you're cool, you know, and then they just agree with us, they just whatever, you know. But the whole thing is that they had no safe space, they had no free space to speak their minds. They had no place that was like sending them a perspective of the news that they were getting from the other people. And that's the reason that we're demonized. There's no other reason that we're demonized. It's because of that. You know, a lot of it is because people can take sound bites of me saying things in my own capacity that like, oh my God, he's being hateful. Because like on the last, like a lot of people were like, last podcast here, I said that I think that the LGBT community as a title is retarded. And the reason I think it's retarded is because I think it only exists online, that there's not a village called LGBTQ community village where you can go and it's like you're greeted and you're like, welcome to the LGBTQ community.
It's just another box and another label.
It's bullshit.
Not,
it's
just,
bullshit.
It's
just
division.
Another
label.
It's
and
division.
division.
And then it's another thing too. It's like, you please tell me another marginalized group that I can become a part of. All I have to do is go line up and get a surgery and maim myself. And then whisked away the next day, as long as I say, hey, I'm this, that now I can just whisk away, you know, my entire history as Donnie Creekmore. Now I'm whatever that is. And now I'm part of a marginalized group just because I changed my mind one day. Like I remember too being like beat into my skull by all of my peers. People were born gay. People are born gay, and you are a fucking bigot if you don't think so. It's not a choice. Well, you explain to me how literally everything after the B is anything but choice. It's like it literally screws up their entire predicate. Like it deflates the entire thing. So it's like, yeah, they get mad. What it is people won't talk about stuff like this. People are afraid to even talk like I like speak openly about the things I speak openly about because of this entire paradigm. But if people don't do it, then what happens is that the people who are like fed up with it and just get mad and madder, though, like, why do you think that people act out in the weirdest ways and stuff like that? It's like the pressure of society is just telling them that they're a piece of shit constantly for the thoughts that they have in their head. It's like, it's insane. So all you can do is either get a super dialed in negative bias toward like an opposite association bias. So you hear the news and you're like, that's probably fake. So it's probably the opposite of that's true. That's how I basically operate. I operate that everything I hear is fake. Everything I hear is untrue until I prove otherwise, or it's proved otherwise to me. And I think it's the safest way to be because we're basically swimming in an ocean of lies with a little bit of droplets of truth here and there, and trying to discern which one's which from the truth from the lies. It's like, 1, it takes attention. 2, it takes passion. 3, it takes fucking time. No one's got that.
And focus.
Yeah, and focus. And I mean, it's like, dude, like, how many people out there give a shit about that are just like scrolling on their fucking iPhones right now? The answer is 0. You know what I mean? And so it's like the reason that the world is where we are and everything like that. It's like,
it's inconvenient to think.
It's inconvenient to think. And so this is why I actually think that Trump's going to win, is because it's inconvenient to think. This is why I think it's going to win, is because when it comes to voting time, all he's going to have to do is go, this is how shitty this thing is. This is how shitty this thing is. This is how shitty this thing is. Man, isn't it shitty that you have to deal with this? This is how it was when I was running things. This is how it was when I was running things. And he has are you smart or are you dumb? Do you? I know you might not like my face, but do you see how I made everything in your life better and how this guy sucks? And so it's just to the people that just can't figure things out, you know, and they don't have time to fucking put in the time to figure things out. For them, they're going to be like, that makes sense.
But nobody thinks they're the dumb one. Everyone thinks that there are dumb people out in the world that need to be protected, but nobody thinks they are that person.
Yeah. Right. But, and to play devil's advocate a little bit, Donnie, I think that the media has been so successful in branding Trump as this terrible person.
Oh, yeah.
That I don't think it's going to be super easy for him to win in 2024.
Well, you had the rape trial. What did just happen? They just got the verdict from.
I think all of that stuff is going to give him a sympathy vote. What has he been saying since day one? The system is out to get me. There's a deep state that's out to get me. And then what do? They send the deep state out to get him. And it's like, oh, you're doing the thing that he said that you guys do.
Yeah, and I do think that he will win the primary. I do think that because I know my people, and they're going to come out for him. They are in droves. They're going to still come out for Trump, and I think they'll come out in 24 for him too. Yeah. However, he is branded as the most divisive politician, even though he's not even really a politician that's ever held the office. He really is. He's been branded that.
He's been branded. It's not true.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't. As you know, you're swimming in an ocean of lies.
Oh yeah.
And they've branded him so well as the most divisive man in politics, the most divisive man to ever hold the office, when it really has just been their narrative. So I think that the more little voices step up and say, hey, think for yourself. Hey, look at the data. You know, I know it's hard, but I have yet since I started voting been able to not bring someone else to the polls with me.
Same.
I've always been able to change someone's mind. In 2011, I voted for Mitt Romney. And I only voted for Mitt Romney, and I hate that. I hate that I did, because I had two choices. You get it. What is that episode of South Park?
I didn't vote at all. So.
You get a douche and a turd sandwich. Pick one. I mean, that's every election, right? So I think that if we can, it's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be 24. It could be 2030. It could be years and years from now before we actually get a populist group of people to stand up and say, we want a third party in office. We want someone, we want a logical thinker in office, or we flip the narrative of a political party. And that was the whole idea of me joining, people like Donnie and I joining the GOP. It's not that we agree with everything that they stand on. By no means do we.
We're a microcosm of Trump himself.
However, yeah, it's this idea of the Patriot Party, right? You heard about that, like after Trump we blatantly say it, after the election was stolen from Donald Trump, a lot of people said we're the Patriot Party, fuck the GOP, fuck the DNC. We're the Patriot Party now. Well, Trump admitted, I'm not starting a new political party. That's political suicide.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never stand on a stage and debate again. I won't make it on the ballot, blah, blah, blah. He may make it on the ballot, but he's not going to get the backing of that money in that GOP. So it's the same monster over and over again, and this just toilet bullet bullshit. And so when you say that you feel like you're a man without a country, dude,
welcome.
I can totally level with you on that.
Welcome.
And I think that most Americans feel like you do.
Yeah. I'm not a Republican.
Yeah.
I'm not either. Truly, I'm not.
No, dude. They disgust me.
But I have to register as one so that I can vote for so I can vote for anyone I want in a primary.
Same.
That's the problem.
I joined the Republicans not because I was a Republican. but because I wanted to go in there and change
And
the way that they're doing things
and
here
patriot up their
and patriot it up.
yeah.
I wanted to bring MAGA into there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I was like, okay, we learned what was it, 18,000 people showed up for Trump. I think here in Humboldt County, I think like 18,000 people voted for Trump in Humboldt County, something like that. It was like a lot.
Mhm.
It was like
Mhm.
a good amount, right?
Good amount of people.
You know, and comparatively, the amount of people that showed up at that election was like way more percentage wise than other elections, right? Because like he's such a divisive character. The thing is, though, is this is all perception. Okay, so we all can say that there's a perception that he's the most divisive guy, and he's been in the perception that he's been branded very well as one too. That's
Mhm.
all perception because Tucker Carlson had the most watched nightly television show of any television show on cable television for like years. For years. Okay. And he, yes, he was critical of Trump, right? He was critical of him, but he was also clearly a supporter of her. Like
Yeah.
like he would vote for Trump. You could tell that he would vote for
Yeah,
Trump. But
absolutely.
he would also he'd bring Trump on and he would tear him up if he
Wasn't he
needed to.
talking shit about him in his text or something? Isn't that what came out in the
Yeah,
Dominion
yeah.
lawsuit? That he
Yeah,
was
I
just
don't, I
shitting
don't,
all
I
over
didn't,
Trump.
I didn't deep dive into that stuff.
It's just
I,
whatever.
I think so
It's
I
private
didn't,
text.
I genuinely did not, I don't
valid.
really know what happened with the whole trial with Trump in the last month or whatever happened there. I don't know what happened there. I don't really, I'm not a fangirl for Trump. That's not what my whole thing is about. I'm a fangirl for the people. Like, I just think people need to step up. And I did see, I think Trump proved himself in 4 years. And I think that's why he got 10 million votes more the second time around. Only person in history to get 10 million votes. He says it over and over again like it's a talking point. Do I love Trump? Nah. I would rather see someone less personally, I would rather see someone less divisive be the winner of our primary and be our candidate. As far when I say our, I'm not a GOP person, but I look that way because I personally I know I live in California and the social issues are never gonna go that way, and so I think the least we could do in California is get right-minded people in office because this state is a shithole. I mean, it is a literal shithole. You just said you just went to San Francisco. You've seen it yourself,
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the fact that people
Mhm.
are just okay with that and almost embrace it
Right.
to some extent
Right.
is
And so did
frightening.
you read my piece on Florida? Let's Florida our California.
I think I read a portion of it. I
Okay.
definitely it popped
Okay.
up, and I think
Okay.
it popped up because there was some backlash or something to it that I kind of caught it.
I
Came
loved
on my
it.
radar.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate the backlash, and I liked the comments when I did publish it on in Red Hooded Black Belt. However, I was getting doxxed in those comments too. For being white.
That's an interesting
For
point.
being a white female that works here. You know what I mean? And
But
it's just
where does-
interesting. It's like, why do you need to point that out? Like, why do you need to cancel me?
dox with
Right.
your real name.
Yeah.
With
I had
the
to
id-
publish it with my real name.
You had to.
Yeah.
With the idea that people should come out and speak and vocalize
Right.
their ideas and how they feel, and that would kind of rally people behind them.
Mhm.
How do you balance that with the idea that you feel the need to do an alias?
So I feel the need to do an alias because I'm glad you asked me that question. So I have been the Liberty Lady on Facebook for 3 years. Or not Facebook. Well, Facebook too. I fucking hate Facebook. Anyway, on Twitter, I've been Liberty Lady for 3 years. I have a following under that name. It's who I am. It's who I've branded myself to be online. However, when I speak my opinions, they're mine, but I want to speak. I don't want it to be about me, if that makes sense. The biggest fear for me is backlash on my family and on my boss. My boss is a great person. You've had him here in the studio. After we turn off everything, I could tell you who he is, but he's a great person. He's well known in the community, and I'm his guru. I'm his main person that handles everything. I don't need his customers turning on me, and I know how evil this system is and how people are so brainwashed to just tear people down, and I don't want his business to be negatively affected. I don't want my brother-in-law's business to be negatively affected. I don't want my father-in-law's businesses to be negatively affected by my political views. I've even offered to change my name back to my maiden name. With my husband's not cool with that, of course. Why would you do that? It's like because I don't want the backlash on them. And I really don't want it on my boss either. And that's the saddest thing. And I actually had to explain to Kim Kemp what cancel culture is.
Yeah.
It was, and I sent you that screenshot of that
Yeah, it's
email.
so
I was
good.
like,
It's
what
like,
the
come
fuck?
on.
I was like, I don't care that people disagree with me. I said, I care that they're pointing out who I am, what color my skin is, and where I work. I said, that's what bothers me. It's not about I want people to disagree with me. I don't want to be canceled for it. I don't need my house burnt down. I don't need my kid being treated differently at school. I don't, you know what I mean? And that's how evil people are these days, is that they will literally tear you down for just having a different opinion. And I don't think that fear exists on the left. I think it really only exists on the right.
Totally does. I mean, like for me, like, I'm more exposed because it's my name and everything. But the beauty that I have is like we homeschool our kids.
Mhm.
We live on a ranch out in Dallas Prairie in McKinleyville. You know what I mean? Like if someone wants to come after me, they
You got a
really,
12-foot
they
fence
gotta
around your
really
property.
want it.
Yeah.
And they gotta really have some guts because they're gonna have to cross like almost nearly an acre of land of prairie to get to my house where they can get shot. And yeah, so
Well, you
it's
can't just
just
shoot somebody for coming on your property, by the way,
I'll shoot
Donnie.
at them. I didn't say I'd
Oh
shoot
my gosh,
them.
no. Oh my
I
God.
didn't say shoot them. I'd shoot at them. I give them a warning shot.
You don't
Yeah.
shoot.
But isn't it kind of a mute point where
Yeah.
you did have to post on Kim Kemp under your real name? I mean, in
Yeah.
an age where
I
information
did,
is so
and
easily accessible.
it's and it is what it is. It was kind of a rash decision on my part. I had some people around me who read it and said, "Dude, more people need to read this opinion." And my coworker actually was like, "Dude, put it on. You see if Kim will post it." So I sent it to her, and she's like, "Yeah, but I have to post it under your real name." And honestly, without even thinking, I was like, "Go for it." And I didn't take the time to really think about the effects of it. And I own that. I own that. And my boss hasn't suffered any backlash, and that's been great and all. And I thought about it, and I actually put a poll up on my Twitter many months ago saying, should I put my name on this account? Should I come out of the closet as who I am? And you should read that thread. I mean, people are like, don't do it. There's so much fear of being boisterous about your opinion on the right. And the things, dude, there are some evil people out there. People will track you down. You have a really, you have an extreme opinion to some people. Don't do that to yourself. Just all these warnings about, dude, how dare you? And then other people like my trolls that come on there, go for it. We'd love for you to share it with us who you are. And that's scary. As a 5'1" woman,
I was told that
it's
I was
a little
brave.
scary.
I was told that I was brave for wearing a MAGA hat at the CR rally.
What's up with that? Brave
why?
for expressing an opinion.
Why? What's so brave about me wearing? And this is by other patriots or other center right guys that were there. Like they were like, "Oh my God, you're gonna wear that in there, Donnie?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
I won't wear my MAGA
Like
hat in public. I won't.
Hey,
I wear it in my yard.
This is the funny thing.
But I won't wear it in public.
I literally was just wearing that hat that day. It was just I had my MAGA hat on and I left the house with it on. Like that's how I give zero fucks. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm think that we're doing more than anything is for for the populace and the center and the right that are here. Everything center right. What we're doing is we're showing them like, dude, wear your MAGA hat. Like fly your American flag out front of your house. You know what I mean? Like be proud of being an American. Be proud of your Americana culture. Be proud of where you take your kids to school. You know what I mean? Be proud of your wife for years. You know what I mean? Be proud of the place where you work and the work that you do. And you know what I mean? It's all fine and it's all fine to do. But what the other side doesn't want you proud of yourself.
But some of that is a contradiction because you can't be proud and hide behind an alias. Those two thoughts don't really align.
Right.
I mean, I get it. I definitely understand not wanting to be that public and have the backlash
want to be
come
targeted,
from it.
and I don't want my just because I can't shut up and doesn't mean everyone around me should suffer. And it's really too bad that it's that way because I would love to tell people who I really am and who and people are going to recognize me. I'm sure. I'm not. I told my boss I was coming on your show, and he's like, "Oh, cool. Tell him I said hi." He's a nice guy. You'll know who he is. But he knows who I am. Because even though he knows I'm doing this and he's like, wow, he overhears me talking to our clients about what we're doing and he doesn't have a problem with it. I've handed out constitutions at my desk for I've lived there 7 years. I think I started buying constitutions about 5 years ago, and I have a stack in my desk. And if I start having a great conversation with someone, I'll give them one, and I'll say, if you've already read this, give this to somebody you know. I want to talk to people, I'm not, I have to hide only for the sake of my own family and my own safety in this unfortunate, hateful community that we live in.
Mm.
Do you think some of those fears are unfounded, or you
Oh.
feel pretty
After
confident that
I
people
got
would
up
attack
at
you?
after I got up at the Eureka City Council meeting to clarify why the protesters were at the Jefferson Center, we all got in my car, the whole Las Cosas Populist team, and we drove back to my office to so I could take them back to their cars, and we were followed. We were followed to my office. They all got in
Forgot
their
about that.
cars, and then I pulled forward a block, and I noticed the car had pulled over, and then pulled out. They were following me home, and I got out of my car, and I went, "What? Did you want to take my picture? What? I just got out of my car, and I held my hands up like this," and they went, "Huh," and they drove away, and it was a carload of people. It wasn't just one person, and I that was scary, and that was the first time I had only published one article at that point.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
you
had
were
published
fresh.
one article at that point. It was my one. The government is the enemy of small business in California. That was my first article. That's all I'd ever published, and it was after that night that I published my second piece, which was bridging the divide. And all I ever write about is unity. Like,
Mhm.
all I ever write about is having conversations and about how we can do this. We can come together. We don't have to, we don't have to pick sides.
It's funny too. She actually will be like, "That part in your piece is pretty divisive." I'm like, "I know it is."
When he got up and spoke that night, I was so upset with him
Yeah, she
because
was.
he paused,
She
and I
was.
was like, dude, like, he got up that night and he goes, "I have the right to hate. I have the right to hate pedophiles."
Pedophiles.
And I was like, you
Ah.
stupid son of a bitch. I
But-
was
but
like, what are you doing?
I did that on
have the
purpose.
right to hate
I do-
pedophiles. And why couldn't you just have said that? And
Because
I still to this day, I'm
yeah.
like, hey, right to hate guy. Like,
Yeah.
and he does have the right to hate, damn
That's
it.
why.
Okay, he
That's
does.
why I
He
did it.
truly does. However, he doesn't freaking hate anybody
know.
but
I
perverts.
know.
God
I
damn
know.
it. Like-
And software that doesn't live up to my expectations.
yes, and software.
I hate it. Absolutely hate it. And the developers, I'm like, "You
Right.
idiots!" I curse
Yeah.
these developers that I don't know. I'm like, why didn't you make it like this?
So our editor and I, we used to be a part of Republican Women, which is another little old lady club, and their meetings are on the third Thursday of the month at 11 o'clock in the morning. So that's real convenient for working mothers. Anyway, I have a nice boss who let me go take that break once a month to go meet with them. Her and I offered to do the street fair in Eureka during the summer and talk to people and hand out political material. Well, the way us youngsters do it, we grab a couple beers and we go, "Hey, come over here. You guys want to learn about the GOP candidates?" Like, we had no problem. Freedom and beer. You guys want to talk about freedom and beer for a minute? This is what we ordered, and we're trying to bring people into this booth. We got the Republican Women banned from the Friday market for literally inviting people to our booth to have conversations with us.
Do you think it was the beer?
Was it the beer?
It's
Nah.
because you had Bud Light.
No, it wasn't fucking Bud
That
Light.
was a good one. That was a good.
That was really good.
That was
buddy.
good. That was on point. That was on point.
No, I mean, we got banned because we were intimidating people. We were intimidating people with what? Freedom.
Like soliciting
Conversation?
them. Yeah. Like.
So it was just interesting. I'd love to share it. I hope our editor comes out of the closet one of these days because she's
amazing.
Amazing.
She needs to be on here.
Genius of a human being.
Can you imagine her on here?
Oh my gosh.
Is she just afraid of the backlash too?
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. And that's all it is, she's the editor, that's all we're allowed to say about her. And
like
it's,
Ash, like both Ash and I, our houses where we live and stuff. It's just like we're basically insulated in a way that there's
Yeah.
no, like we don't have to. It's not like their worries. We don't share their worries as much, Like
they're not out in the community
Yeah.
trying to do business every day, and
Right.
and they're not doing what we're both, I work full time. I sit in an office 40 hours a week. I have a real I have a career. I shouldn't say
she
a real
does.
job.
She does.
But and so does she. And so our fear is that we will lose business. We will hurt the people around us,
And we need them to keep making money at this point because the business actually makes zero. So
who's paying for that fair booth, Bonnie? I got you, bro. Yeah. So that's where we're kind of, that's why I have the alias, to answer your question. Very, very long-winded.
No, it absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's
cancel culture.
Part of it is sad that we're in that day and age.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it is, I would imagine, a challenge because doxing is so easy to do.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's where you are a public figure. It is so easy to find out who you actually are.
Yeah.
I was curious to see if that is still a worthwhile endeavor to try to hide that.
Well, I'm doing what I can for now, and we'll see. If worst comes to worst, I'll divorce my husband and get a crappy apartment and take that crappy apartment away from some kid that needs to go to Cal Poly. Because I can afford it.
He can stay on the bars.
She's a survivor, self-survivor.
Yeah. My boss and I have a really great relationship. I don't think that he would. I think that we would maybe see a lull if something happened, and I don't really think it's going to be. I don't really think it would be a huge deal. But we'll see. I don't want to put anybody through that, though. That's the thing, and I hate that this community puts that fear in me that I'm not allowed to have an opinion, because they'll Alan Bongio me, they'll Rex Bone me. You can't really say Rex Bone because Rex knows how to ride a fence like nobody knows. Oh, my God, that man is what a sellout.
Yeah.
He's a sellout. I mean, he really is. The people in this community backed him for his conservative views. People in this community backed him because he's going to be that logical voice that'll balance things out. He's not going to run again. You know what he's going to do? He's going to abandon his post, and they're going to push a bunch of liberals in District 1. And guess what? We're fucked. And we're stuck with one side running everything completely. And because he's just bowing over. He's not even. He goes there and he sits there like this. And he says, yep. He's George Bushing the whole thing. George Bush signed off on every freaking thing those Democrats threw on his desk because he was just done with the job those last 2 years. That's what a lame duck is. That's exactly what Rex Bone is. He's a lame duck.
During the hate resolution, like his comments were, I like this one a lot better than the last one. The wording's a little bit more inclusive. So,
it Simpsons could be character is that?
It could be because, it could be a troll that did this and literally steals the entire predicate of a hate. What are we even talking about? But I'm gonna go ahead and vote for this.
I'll sign up on this.
Literally, and it was funny is that they said that is because they're replying to me where I was like, guys, this is the copy paste. In my email to them, this is a copy paste of the other one. I went to Chat GPT and I asked it to analyze the text of the January 24th resolution against hate and this recent resolution against hate, and it said it had an 84% similarity, and that the one was a copy paste of the other. So that's what AI said. It's not Donnie Creekmore. AI said that. Okay, data. Literally, I spocked it and went to data. That's what data said. Okay, straight up.
We went to the human rights. So we got on the human rights committee Zoom call back in January, though, after they signed. Or no, that was after. No, it was right after the protest.
Yeah, it was in October.
Right. So it was after the protest, and then we went to the Eureka City Council meeting. We clarified why we were there, and other people stood up and was like, "Dude, we don't have a problem with the LGBTQ plus blah 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 AI blah blah community. We have a problem with indecent exposure in front of children. Is that okay?" That's what we were protesting. And so we all echoed the same thing, though the narrative stayed the same in the media. The narrative stayed the same with the council. The narrative stayed the same when we went to the Human Rights Commission. It came back to the floor, and we all spoke and we clarified again. And at the end of it, they had this really, really awesome discussion about how, well, we really need to really reevaluate before we have these rapid responses. And we didn't know we were just offending a bunch of parents who came out to protest against indecent exposure. Yeah, because you got told what to think. You didn't think for yourself. You didn't think to even ask.
Right, they just reacted.
They reacted.
How was the one at College of the Redwoods, the drag show?
I never got to get inside. They wouldn't allow us.
Oh, they didn't let you in?
No. We showed up about 2:30, somewhere around there, and Ash had like a rig with a camera, and like he could see kind of what was going on with the camera right here. And then I had a handheld camera I was taking pictures with. We both had our press passes and everything. We were, dressed clean and totally normal looking. We weren't.
Besides the mega hat.
I mean, I was wearing the hat that I was wearing. I was wearing my MAGA hat because I was wearing it earlier that day. And so like, we just basically, we went around, we interviewed a bunch of the different, vendors that were there. They were totally nice to us, totally cordial.
Yeah.
And then we asked for some direct, like we saw that there were people like kind of heading a certain direction. So we figured that's what the drag show was going over there. So we followed them all over there, and we kind of recorded the line. And I told him, I was like, let's just wait for them to like work through the line and not be the guys that are like, hey, you got all these people waiting to get in because we talked to you about our press credentials and trying to get into this thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so we gave them the common courtesy, and we're like, okay, let's sit here and let's just like film and like interview some people or whatever as as we sit here. So we talked to some people. Everything was chill. But at multiple different instances, the chief of police was told by somebody to come and speak to us and to kind of, I wouldn't say harass us, but just it was kind of intimidating, right? I'm really skilled at those kind of situations. I'm really good at negotiating. I've been in sales my whole life prior to doing this. And so like I was immediately just kind of just like hitting him up with the journalist side of things, and just kind of like trying to fill it out and negotiate with him. We finally got him to realize that like he basically was treating us like he was like the first thing he said was like, you need to go over to the freedom of speech zone, which is over there. And I'm like,
we're not protesting.
as far as I'm aware,
they had a freedom of speech zone.
Yeah,
they had a
zone.
designated zone
This
where
is
you can
America.
have free speech.
Mm.
Yeah, a designated zone. And they're like, you can go over there if you have free. I'm like, well, we're not protesters. We're journalists. Here's our card. And he's like, and I could tell like his face was like, well, I was told that you're a protester, not a journalist. And so like right there is like
Started to panic.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm just sitting here to film. We're not doing anything. I'd love to get some questions from you and recording them and stuff. We'd start, and so after everybody leaves, we go up to the table and we're like, okay, we'd like to come and film the event. Oh, you can't come film the event. Well, we'd like to go inside at least. Can we go inside without our cameras? No. Well, what if we buy a ticket? Well, there's no more tickets for sale. And then they sell a ticket right in front of us. And then they're like,
they were
hey.
told not to let us in, and and I watched the footage that I wasn't there, but Ash put the footage out, and their own security that the drag show people brought came out and told Donnie he couldn't be there.
Yeah,
he told him to leave, and the officer was like, "Well, no, like this is a public campus, like, and you can have a free speech zone all you want, but bro, this is America. The whole damn country is free speech."
They ended up telling us at this table, like, "Hey, you have to go talk to this guy." And then they wouldn't tell us where he was. And so we're just like, well, I guess let's go over where a lot of people are and just search for this person. We found him randomly, found this person. We didn't know what they looked like. It was just had a name tag. I was like, oh, that's the guy. It's a name tag. We read it on his name tag. It was the president of CR. This is like, we were talking about this earlier. So we're interviewing him and stuff. And he's just like, no. Like, he's just like, no, I know who you are. You're not going to get in there. There's no way at all you're going to film this. You're shut, like basically you're shut down, right? And I was like, well, how many times? That's when I asked him, like, well, how many times has this happened in the past? I mean, has this happened in the, do you see yourself doing this in the future? Da, da, da. And he's like, no, 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 no. And then as he's walking away, some old lady's like, you were just so kind the way you did. I just really appreciate the way that you just spoke to them. Such a gentlemanly. Oh my God. And I was like, oh, thank you,
Right. And your question was, how was the event? Like, was it as risque? I think that's what you were asking about. And the footage that we got, the footage. Well, I watched what Ash put on our page, and I watched it, and I saw people dancing in costumes. I didn't see any twerking. I didn't see lap dances for children. I didn't see cash tips. I didn't see anything provocative. So if that's how they're going to do their shows, they could just call it. They don't have to call it a drag show. They do that to be controversial, really, and they do it because we have the man of the hour. You had him on here. I don't remember his name.
Kaylin Rivera.
So he was on the stage, and he says we have some haters out there. There were no protesters, were there? Were there protesters? I didn't see any on your film.
No.
There were no protesters. He was specifically referring to Las Cosas Populist. We were nothing but respectful. Our guys were nothing but respectful. And then he goes on with the narrative. And the narrative is, we have to normalize. I have this quoted. I have it saved on my phone. We have to normalize drag shows for kids. He literally says
that
this
out loud.
And it's like, why?
Also, the
What is
same
this
audio.
validating? I just want to know. I
How
want to
many
understand.
kids are there in the audience today?
So
Don't think too much about the fact that you're at an all-age drag show and that just happened. Like, you know what I mean? Just like,
Yeah.
Well, to be fair to Caitlin, it sounded like he was very cognizant of how he wanted to run this and didn't want to
Right. And
do
it
the
wasn't
cash tips and the twerking and stuff like
super
that.
provocative.
Yeah.
That's what I saw adults in costumes dancing on stage. Nothing I wouldn't say it was any more risque than when I personally played Peter Quince in a Midsummer Night's Dream. Yes, I played a man in a play in high school. I don't think it's any different. That's not what I saw was not any bad in that. And that's how they want to do them. Great. I could care less. But it was the provocativeness of what we saw at the Jefferson Center that made us go, well, we have to do the follow-up story. We have to show up at CR and make sure that they're true to their word, that they're not going to be doing all this nasty stuff. And what we saw is that was the case. Yeah, they cleaned it up quite a bit. And I see that as a victory. I see that as a victory for the concerned
Totally.
parents. I see the first drag show in Ferndale, like I mentioned. I see that as a victory for the concerned parents. It was what 18 and up,
yeah.
or 21 and up.
The
actually, 'cause I think it was at a
the
bar
cancellation at the one at the old steeple.
whatever.
Big victory.
Didn't they just move that one though?
They did. It moved it to CR,
Oh,
but then
that was the
then
CR
they
one.
cleaned it up.
Yeah.
So, and I think they cleaned it up because of some
The
pressure.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think I think that's that middle ground we're looking for.
Ferndale City Council voting against support of their hate resolution.
Allowing free speech to exist.
Yeah, why? Go watch the video on our website. Why? Because of a massive outpouring of parents who showed up and only 3 LGBTQT activists in the room. So you hear anybody who said anything critical about drag shows for kids and applause and whistles and all kinds of, like, a huge crowd. And then, someone's like, we think that you should wear a mask on inside your car and twerk in front of kids. Woo!
Right.
Woo!
Well, right, but again, though, you're then what Ferndale did is what communities all over the United States need to do, is listen to the people.
That's right.
Listen to the people, and maybe I'm off kilter. I thought Eureka was a pretty conservative town up until now. Up until this last couple of years, Eureka was a pretty conservative town comparatively to like Arcata.
Well, yeah, Arcata's
Yeah.
pretty far.
Oh, yeah, I mean, they voted Paul off because his wife was Republican. Like, for Christ's
Dude, I mean, I
Paul's
think that honestly, I think that COVID flipped this into.
I think it
Honestly,
did too.
COVID pushed this place so far left. When I moved here, it was a completely different place than when after COVID.
I don't know. I've been here almost 20 years, and I would say I don't know. I think this place has always been pretty far left,
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
do think that people in the grow community, I think that they need to find a political home, and I think they're also feeling like people without a country right now because they really supported this let's legalize pot. They didn't support that, but all these people came forward and they tried to do what they could do, and they're just getting squashed. And we're gonna see it turn into big tobacco here in Humboldt County. We're gonna see all of our little mom and pop farmers go down. It's really, really sad because we've got good people in the hills that, they probably vote Democrat, and they probably, or if they vote at all, and they, and they eat organic and they support our local businesses and they spend money in our community. The reason there are so many empty storefronts on Broadway is because nobody is doing business in Humboldt County anymore. There's no cash in this county anymore. And COVID really hurt Humboldt County, I think, more than anyone wants to talk about. It really did. And I think that the other thing that COVID did was isolate people so that they could be plugged in and told how to think. And I think that's a big effect. And I think that's a lot of what we see today.
Yeah, I'm just afraid that we don't walk that back. I think that's
Yeah.
my biggest thing is I'm worried that
Mhm.
once you're connected in that way and you have that fear of what COVID did to people,
Yeah.
I don't know how you bring them back to the table. I don't know if that's something, especially in like a short time frame, like in time for the 2024 election. I don't see that
Logic.
happening.
Gotta outnumber 'em.
I think
Gotta
you
outnumber 'em.
just don't show up, and you just
Yeah.
you keep bringing the logic forward, and as much as we hate the comments section of the articles that we loathe from Lost Coast Outpost and in North Coast Journal and all these places, I think the comments section is where the people go to vent and talk smack, but also if if we're popping in our articles and saying here's why we don't think that's real. I did that to the article that Donnie the article that they wrote about Donnie and the website and all that, Ryan, whatever his name is, that he wrote about our website. I went on there and I said, this is the media doing exactly what we said they would do. And I put right there a link to perception, division, and hate. And anyone who wanted to critically think could just click on that and read how I already told you this was going to happen. I told you it was going to happen because it happens all the time. This is what they do.
All right.
They diminish our argument by labeling us, by saying, by calling somebody a hater, by making, oh, well, we won't really know if this is a real troll. It was a real troll, and no one had the audacity to come to us and say, hey, they don't actually care about what was said. They care about what they can do with that information and how much money they can get from the state or from sympathetic donors for their cause to combat hate in Humboldt County. Combat hate in Humboldt County? Where's my damn resources? Why can't I go by my real name? Because my opinions are hated that much. That's too bad.
I'm gonna break something new on your show. So we're gonna come out with this thing called the censorship wall of shame. It's gonna basically be a way for anybody who's been censored on any platform to take and list the name of the platform, explain what got censored, drop in your screenshots, and it's just gonna be a table of just here's all the different things, right? So, and it came up in this last thing where I had one of my friends who she is totally a liberal. Okay, this chick is fully a liberal, massage therapist, has a crystal underneath her massage table, full blown different oils. She's got the oils on. She comes in the house the whole house smells like her. It smells delightful, amazing person, right? Beautiful person, right? Totally a liberal. Okay, this is her comment on Los Cos Outpost on my hate article by them, right? Anyone who claims to care about the community or safety of the community should take the time to actually look into Los Cos Populace response to this matter. As soon as they were made aware of what was happening, they took action to remove the comments, as well as gathered all identifying info, IP address, email, etc., and forwarded it all to the county sheriff. All of the comments and hatred directed at Creekmore and those who simply want to protect children from sexualized behavior are more alarming than the fake petition signee they're actually angry about. Both messages came from the same IP address. The IP address and all of the info relevant to Loco Populace response to this matter are detailed in an article on their website. They've given all of the information to the sheriff's department. This information also would have been available to the board of supervisors had they bothered to reach out rather than jump straight to their performative virtue signaling. If Ryan Burns actually cared about the safety of the community, he too would have waited and had an actual discussion with Creekmore and Loco Populace before writing his article, which did nothing more than fuel hate and fear in the community. That sounds like a liberal talking, right? Totally does, right? And so they got taken down. You can see that they're removed. And then she says, hey, anyone at Loco Outpost care to inform me why all my comments on this subject have been removed? I have not violated any terms as far as I'm aware and offered information that is vital to anyone hoping to understand this particular situation. I find it highly alarming that information that could quell said hatred in our community is being censored in favor of a narrative that directs animosity to a large portion of this community and country. Here's the answer from Angie C. Number 1, advertising for Creekmore. Number 2, general hatred towards the trans community. 3, doxing of a person's place of employment. Where did she do that? Where did she dox anybody's place of employment? Where is there general hate towards the trans community in her comment? And she's advertising for me by basically saying that there's another store, there's another half to this coin of the store. You know what I mean? It's and that's why, literally, it's right, that's why it's removed right there. You know what I mean?
Coming to your defense.
Yeah. How dare you defend the hater?
I mean, you should see.
No, he's a hater, a white nationalist hater. Yeah. And he has the right to hate, don't you know? He's the right to hate guy.
Well, self-declared white nationalist on the podcast.
100%. 100%.
It's just such bullshit. And we need to call it out. We need to keep calling it out. And we need to say hypocrisy. what was your hypocrisy illuminated?
No, hypocrisy crystallized.
It's crystallized. It's a new
Yeah.
illuminated. Here we are again. Media hypocrisy. It happens all the time, and it's happening constantly. And there's a war against our freedom of speech, and everybody knows it. That's why Elon Musk says he bought Twitter. People are not losing their accounts anymore. It's a beautiful thing. People can say what they want pretty much on Twitter.
Yeah, but some people are still against that. Still
Yeah.
anti him,
Isn't that
but it's
stupid?
insane.
Isn't that stupid? I
That's
mean,
insane.
it's and he's one of those. He's like us. He truly is. Though he's like he put up this meme. I like it because he's like, yeah, I used to be over here, and then this got really crazy, so I slid over here. And then he was talking about being right versus left, and he's like, why can't we all just stand in the middle? Like, why can't we? Why can't we all just have conversations? And why can't Twitter be fun? And
they have to tribalize everything. Everything has to be tribalized. They have to make it into a false dichotomy of us versus them, and then make it to where it's not us versus them. It's us versus other us's that now we see as the thems.
Yeah.
And all it does is to make division for the corporate, the entities that basically petition the government to keep it a globalist, bastardization of what it was supposed to be. America's supposed to be a nationalist country. We're supposed to produce our own stuff here on our shores. We can. We're supposed to be energy dominant, and we have been before. These are all things. I mean, the thing about it is this is it's like it drives you insane, because it's like what they really want you to do is just to forget history, to forget being a kid and going and seeing $1 per gallon gas and going and buying a thing of like a Charleston chew or something like that, and it's like 5 cents. You know what I'm saying? And it's like $2 now. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't eat candy. I'm just saying, like, this is my reference point. When I was a kid, I'd go to the store, I'd see things. They'd be like,
when the pack of gum said 25 cents on it, and that's all it was.
Right. Exactly. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you couldn't buy a half a pack of gum for 25 cents right now.
Right.
And no one wants to talk about that. And what that is are the people that people vote for, that these people own, that these corporate entities own, that they get them to constantly sell us out. And when you when you have the right person in charge, when everybody is fighting against them, when the entire system says this person needs to go, it's the worst person ever. Oh my, that is the winner.
And that's why
Trump.
That's why so many people support Trump. I do believe that.
The system hates him. He's the best.
Yeah, it's true. The system hates him, so people like him.
That's why I like him.
Well, the system hated Jeffrey Dahmer too, and some people like that guy.
I don't know how many people like that guy.
It's different though. Yeah. It's different. There wasn't trillions of dollars spent to consistently defame a certain person's name while they were a president for entirely 4 years, and then the same amount of money used to defame that person after their presidency, and then also anybody who has the audacity to wear their fucking hat in public.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
the difference. A little bit further. It's a little bit
different. To be fair, Trump hasn't killed anybody.
He has done
Bundy, but
Trump has done nothing harm. Trump's done nothing wrong.
I don't know if that's kind of we went from the middle and now we're starting to.
I just like to say that because it pisses people off. Trump has done nothing wrong.
I disagree with that, Donnie.
I know he's done that. He's fucked up a bunch.
Do you feel like you're gonna have to balance Donnie out a little bit and say, okay,
I was saying that for fun.
Actually,
she does actually.
That's the cool thing about me and Donnie is we kind of are the yin and yang.
Yeah.
I don't go down the conspiracy theory path too much.
I go deep.
He goes deep diving into that pool. And I'm like, hey, buddy, can we stick to content? I worked all day and I don't want to read all this crap about conspiracy theory. Can we stick to what
I'm like,
we're
you're my
talk
only
about?
person.
Like, come on, man. And I'm like, okay. So, so Donnie and I do have this kind of balancing thing. We worked really, we were actually put on a committee as co-chairs of the technology committee for GOP. That's kind of how we got to know each other with the website. And I'm like, oh, this guy speaks my language. And then I'm like, wow, bro, you're like out there. But I really had so much respect for what he did with Humboldt Freedom Coalition, and not a lot of people know about Humboldt Freedom Coalition, and I wasn't never a part of it really. I bought a hat because I thought it was so freaking cool. I went to a protest. I was like, look at all these are my people. We've got people.
It was punk rock
covered in patchouli and little old church ladies standing together for freedom.
It was awesome.
I mean, it was a beautiful thing, and it's so sad that it didn't I want to pick the brains of whoever's left in charge there, but
Blaine.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
we
you
should
get a
talk to
chance.
Blaine. Blaine's a great guy.
Yeah.
And so we should talk to him because there's for some reason everything died after the mandates went away. People quit caring about freedom again, and it's like, well, but it's not over, and they see it as, you know, there's a step back. Oh, well, this is getting fringy right wing stuff, and now you've got, you know, sectors of them talking about 5G and just really getting off topic of to what freedom's about, you know, and it's too bad because I thought it was such an empowering movement, and the first time I met Donnie was actually at the GOP event at the pizza place in November of 21, I think. And you, Blaine spoke and you spoke, and I was like, Antoinette, we have to join the GOP. Like, these are the people that they're putting up to talk. Like, we have to get, you know, we have to do this.
Little does she know that night, like as soon as we were done speaking, they were like, "We'll never have these people speak again." That was a fucking
we didn't
huge
know,
mistake.
but we showed up and we started becoming a part of the GOP, and then I met Adam for the first time that night too, and I said, Adam, I saw your Lost Coast Populist. So Adam is the original Lost Coast Populist. I saw this breakdown that he did on the mandates and shit.
What happened to Humble?
Like, what happened to Humble? Like, it's so good. And I put it on my Twitter, and he got a bunch of hits on it, and it was kind of cool. But anyway, so I kind of introduced myself, and then Adam brought Donnie to the GOP meeting, and I was like, here we go. Here's my people. Like, this is what's up. And so I was so enthusiastic. You have no idea. I was so enthusiastic when I started for the GOP. I did everything I possibly could. I helped them with the events. I sold tickets. I went door to door. I did everything I could to help. And then they took this guy and they said, fuck him. Fuck him. He's MAGA. Get him out of here. And I said, what are you doing? This isn't going to help us win elections. We're going to spend our August meeting 2 months prior to a general election taking down one of our own when we have an election to win in 2 months.
I was walking my precinct too.
I was blown. Him and I were the only ones walking our precincts, 1 and 5. So there was this wasn't going on in 2, 4, or 3. Nobody is walking, and we're doing everything we can in our own precincts. We're only 2 people. You know, I've got from Ferndale to freaking Cutton to cover. You know, I mean, it's insane. Yeah. It's insane. And there was no support. There was no guidance. And I go there and I'm like, this is what it's all about. Like, it's all fucking politics. And there's no activism in this fucking room. And when they voted him off, we lost the treasurer, who had been with the GOP for a couple years, also a pastor,
amazing,
great guy, Mark Satz from Fortuna, fantastic human being. I started going to his church because I had that much respect for him. I mean, he is an amazing person.
Let's check him out.
You should, man. He's just a great guy. And he left. Captain Zach, who had been on the GOP for 10 years, boat captain. He quit. When Johnny came onto the GOP, he's like, man, take my executive chair. Like, you're the guy.
He just gave it to him.
These guys, these old timers believed. There were old timers that believed in the MAGA movement. They believed in what we wanted, and they were with us. But they're old guard, man. The grifters, the ones who just want to be there and see, how much money you can. Oh, this just gives me something to do once a month, and
I can take pictures of Republican guys and rub elbows with them and look at me.
Oh, I can get the GO. I can raise money, and we can go down to L.A. and rub elbows with Kevin McCarthy. Who gives a shit about Kevin McCarthy? Like, I mean, I don't care. You know, like, that's not, we're trying to win elections in Humboldt County. I thought that's what we're raising money for. That's what I supported. And then I saw them take him down, and they took him down over a little old lady's lie.
Yeah.
A little old lady's fucking lie.
Well, that's what they used as the excuse. The real reason was because I wrote an article that was pro-cannabis, basically.
Yeah, that's what set
that's what set it all off.
We were inviting. I was like, this is, and my first response when Donnie shared it with everybody was, this is exactly what we need to do. This is how we broaden our base. If we bring the grow community into vote red, we could actually have a chance, you guys.
Yeah, I wrote it, and it had biblical reasons why people shouldn't oppose cannabis. I was like, okay, I need to speak to all the gray-haired people out there and realize that they're dumb. They need to realize that they're dumb for opposing cannabis growers, and then also speak to the cannabis growers in the same piece and go, look, you got a home
You're getting
here.
fucked by Democrats.
You got
let us give you a shot.
You got a homie in the local GOP. You know what I mean? The local GOP is pro cannabis, like in Humboldt County, right?
Oh no, they're not.
No, they are not. They're like, no. And so then, like, when they're like, you're not gonna post this. I'm like, what's our protocol and who gets to decide what goes on the internet? Oh, the chairman does. I'm like, so the chairman alone
gets to play
a dictator gets to decide what posts and what doesn't. Okay. And I was like, so that's what I was like, why don't we have, and then Mark, the guy that she's talking about, he was getting pissed about this whole exchange that's happening. And he was just like, here's the bylaws from like 4 years ago. They're not the same bylaws.
I don't have an updated copy for you. I don't have one either.
I don't have one either.
Interesting.
Right. So we get the bylaws and we basically learn in the bylaws that they're not, that nothing in there says that he can do this, number one. Nothing says
He's just telling us.
He's just telling us, okay? And then it also shows us that we have all kinds of powers that we didn't even know that we could wield. Like all kinds of shit. Like the entire time, me and her could have just been like, and you are this. I can't. What do they call? What was the call? Remember when I was just wanding those people for a minute and they were freaking out? What was it called? Like an associate member or something?
Yeah,
associate member. Yeah. I can make anybody an associate member. All I have to do is write a fucking email and you reply to it saying, yeah, I'm cool with this, with your information on it. And now you're an associate member with my powers of everything but the ability to vote. But you can come, you can debate,
advocate.
You can advocate, you can do all kinds of shit, right? But they didn't tell us about this. It's like, dude, I could have been building the base for months.
Oh, we could have done way more if we
So
knew
much
that.
more.
We didn't know. Well, we
Like,
had to
Grant.
when we came on the GOP, it filled up. Every seat on the GOP for the first time was full.
It's true.
On the GOP. I even wrote a blog piece that we put on our on the old GOP website that says we have a full committee, but we still need volunteers to door knock. It was amazing. And they shit on it so much. They lost 7-8 people that night. Then I resigned. I just resigned in February. I was like, I'm going to stick it out, see what I can do. I was so deflated. And my email to them was very simple. I was so empowered. What you guys did was bullshit. I don't like the politics. I'm an activist. Call me if you need anything. That was it. That I didn't want to leave on bad terms. That's like the yin and yang, right?
Yeah. Whereas Donnie's
Right.
like, let's burn this.
Yeah.
Let's burn it down.
Fuck them.
Ready
Yeah.
to go. Yeah.
Oh, you should.
They need another rock through the window. Just kidding. They don't. They don't.
The scheming ideas that I was coming up with that were, oh my god, I had some ideas.
And they thought I was in on all this stuff. Like, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
They were stupid. They signed over the administrative rights and the legal rights to the website to Donnie Creekmore.
Well, hold on. That's more than this. It's they're like, okay, build the
URL.
website. Build the website, Jamie, Donnie, you guys go build the website. Okay, you build the website. Okay, we got the website done. They're like, cool, put it on the website. And we're like, well, you gotta give us access to the domain.
We don't have the domain.
What do you mean? What's that? What do you mean? What's that?
Ignorance.
It's the domain. It's this. You have to figure it out. Well, that's this lady that used to work here 10 years ago. We haven't talked to her in 15 years.
And the old blogger site they used to have.
And so then like we have to figure out this random lady. We finally chase her down. And she has a lunch with me, and she's just doing it to make sure that I'm a real person. She's not just like handing over to a bot.
She was so offended because she didn't know, and she had been like, "I've worked on this website for over a decade." Like
they didn't even talk to her.
They didn't even talk to her about it and tell her that we were really rebuilding it.
Oh, they just pushed her out.
They just pushed her out. Pushed her out, and so we go kind of olive branch this lady. She's like, okay, you know what? This is what GOP does need. They need new blood like you guys. They need a new website.
Another believer in what we were trying to accomplish.
Go. Here's the keys. And I was like, and then I got the keys, and I'm like, okay, hold on, because I don't want to own this website. That's not the way this needs to be. Because you are a private person. You shouldn't have ever owned this website. It should be owned by the GOP here in Humboldt County, and their bank account should pay for the hosting and the domain provider as properly should be, right? Like, I mean, just logic and reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, no, stop. And I go in the next meeting, I'm like, you guys need to buy this. And they're like, we don't know how. I'm like, you got to figure out how. Mm-hmm. Donnie, what's taking so long to get the website up there? You guys need to buy the fucking domain. You need to fucking do something. We've done everything. It's already. I can press fucking enter. I can press fucking enter.
We need you to own it.
You need to do something. Can you just do something? Can you just pay for something? And they didn't. And so then they were gaslighting me. They were like, "Why is Donnie waiting so long to do this? What's taking him so long?
Why is the website not up? Why is the website not up yet?"
I'm waiting for you guys to pay for it, so that way you can actually own it, because last time it was owned by a private person, and I would spell it out to him every single time. I'm like, what is wrong with these people? And finally, I was like, fuck it, I'll buy it. That's $20.
His
whatever.
property.
Send it over.
Now
I'll own it. I guess this is the way we're doing business here at the GOP, is just random people own the website in Humboldt County GOP. Fucking fantastic.
HumboldtGOP.org, owned by Donnie Creekmore.
Yeah. And then they make me walk the plank in the most unsanctimonious way that you could possibly ever experience in your life.
Also, they signed over admin access to their social media to Donnie Creekmore as well.
Yes.
So they're no longer the admins of their own social media at this point
for 20 years. Because they're geniuses, and they thought that this is how genius they were. They were like, we're gonna make him walk the plank in an unsanctimonious way based upon lies that he knows is lies, and everybody knows is lies, but we have the votes.
So they kicked him off the committee, and they're like, give us our website and give us our social media, and he's like, no.
No.
And so now it is the Guild of Patriots.
Yeah, GOP, Guild of Patriots.
And
solid switch.
I like it.
So and it did hold a hit piece on the chairman. Are you seriously? You never took that down?
No. Why would I do that?
I would never click there again. I won't go there anymore.
Why would I ever do that?
I'm going there after we finish this podcast.
Get on there, man. No, it's a salty piece.
The whole story's
for sure.
there, dude. It's long.
However, I finally go to a meeting after they've kicked him off. I skipped one. I was so pissed. After we lost. Of course I go, and then I go to the meeting after they kicked him off, and we got kicked out of the village pantry because of the people who were pissed about Donnie getting pissed off. Anyway, so we're back in the little office. They're checking us at the door. They're only letting members of the committee in, which is so stupid. 1 month before an election, they're only letting members of the committee into the Republican office. So what if we have volunteers that come to the meeting? Oh, well, they're not welcome because they might be plants for Donnie Creekmore. Right. So I go and I'm listening to and I couldn't even say a word. I fucking just got up and left. And Donnie's out there with his camera like, hey, how was the meeting tonight? Like, I'm the press now. Because he was like, he's like, all right, Las Coast Populace, let's do this. And so he started doing that. And I was like, I took in a hidden camera that didn't work to see if they talk shit about him. I ended up turning it off before I went in. We got our whole conversation in the parking lot before.
I ambushed
super
journal.
stupid.
I did ambush.
He did pretty. Yeah, that was crazy.
We never released the video though.
We didn't. No, because your wife told you not to, and I told you not to.
Probably a safe call.
Yeah.
I think that's what speaks to what we've been talking about this whole time, is just incompetence. It's not necessarily people being nefarious and coming up with these bad plans.
People
it's
suck.
it's just people not being good at their job.
I think there's a little bit of both, though. I think there are people with the controls who, I don't think it's at the local level. Trust me, I've been in there, and they don't have any controls. Mm-hmm. I don't really think these people are conspiring together to never let Humboldt County turn red again. I would never say that.
It's just for their own egos.
However, power and prestige, as one of my ex-GOP friends would say, Annette Damone. Anyway, so I come back to the GOP meeting in December, and at the end of there's public comment, and just like any formal meeting, and I said I actually do want to say something. I said when I joined this committee, I threw my all behind this. I did everything I could to help, and I was so deflated after you guys did what you did to Donnie, and I said and then to turn around and so I was still the chair of the tech committee, and they went and bought a new domain. They never asked me about it. They went and they never relaunched their social media. They didn't even ask me to. They didn't come to me about anything. They basically branded me as conspiring with Donnie on stealing the website and the social media. Yeah. And I sat there and I said, how dare you do that to me after all the hours of volunteer work I've done for this committee, and not just to get Republicans elected. That's why I stood up and why I'm doing why I joined. I said, where did you all lose sight of your purpose? We fucking lost again. And you guys none of you even seem to fucking care. You've got half the amount of people in this room now than you had a few months ago, and none of you seem to care. Mm-hmm. I said, I'm just blown away. Like, why would you do that to me? And I was looking at the chairman the entire time. Doug, what the fuck? Like, why did you do that to me? Oh, well, da da da. I don't even remember what he said. I was so pissed. Dude, to be honest, I don't remember what he said. But Ash was also a member of the committee. And he was sitting next to me. And him and I are just like, this is insane. The what I skipped over is the meeting after we kicked Donnie off. We went full Robert's Rules of Order, and the first motion that was made was to eliminate free speech in the meeting. So there would be no debate over any topic that was to be voted on that night.
And they did this way with associate members too.
And they voted away. They suspended all associate members. So they had all the votes planned out ahead of time, and they cut up their bylaws, and basically they muted everyone. They pushed the mute button. So that was the September meeting. Yeah, because August you got kicked off. September meeting. I didn't go in October after we lost. I was so fucking pissed at all of them. I skipped November too because fuck them. Oh, November is when we went to the Eureka. I went to the Eureka City Council meeting with you guys instead. And then in December is when I went and I had this conversation. I was just like, what the hell are you guys doing? You know? And they, well, we did get 10% more than last time. And, and I'm like, yeah, that's Joe Biden doing, not yours. What are you doing? Like, you're sitting there, you'll go to the fair and you'll sell thousands of dollars worth of Trump gear.
Made in China Trump gear.
Made in China bullshit Trump gear. You'll sit there and you'll tote MAGA all day. You'll take your picture with his cardboard cutout. But when it comes down to philosophy of the patriots in this freaking country, you guys could give two shits. You're all about the GOP, what the GOP wants, and what the GOP needs. And you don't even care about changing your tactics to actually change minds and win votes. I don't understand. I just don't get it. Like, I thought about it for another month, and then I turned in my resignation in February, and I'm glad I did, because I don't really feel like there was anything productive that could be done there. With the old guard still in charge, all they care about is just having something to do on the first Tuesday of the month.
Well, in a way, it all worked out because it brought you guys all together.
West Coast Populist,
It really did. It really did. Yeah.
Well, I did this.
Honestly, like that whole experience is what has shaped us and our kind of like, I think it kind of fuels our passion to basically, educate our community about what's actually driving the political nature of Humboldt County, what's actually driving the political nature of California, and then downstream to Humboldt County, and how it all works together, and then how the local GOP and the local DNC, how they fit into that as a puzzle piece. You know what I mean? We have like this very, unique experience that a lot of people don't have that. And their views are shaped by what they see on television, what they read on the news, what they see on, their phones.
So's ours, though, in a way.
So's ours in a way, but I mean, ours has been definitely forged by experience, Well,
and you got to see behind the curtain a little bit.
Right.
You got to see how things actually go down.
And so I'm not just going to be quick to vote down ballot Republican anymore. I mean, after that, definitely not. I mean, these guys locally turned me away from being 100% Republican GOP voter forever. I mean, they did. And they did that because of the way that they treated their own people.
Oh, dude, it was so
bad. And they
bad.
diminished our opinions because they didn't fit the narrative of the state and federal and national party.
I remembered something.
It was just a trip.
I did actually get reached out by a higher up from the GOP.
Oh yeah,
it was
Matthew.
Yeah, it was two different. Yeah, Matthew something.
He just got elected down in Sonoma County. For something.
Sonoma County. Matthew something. Yeah. He was like the chair in Sonoma County, and somehow it made him kind of like the chair of our chair or whatever, right?
Whatever. He was an overseer. Yeah, something like that.
And so basically, he calls me up like 2 days before the thing's supposed to go down. He's like, "Well, it looks like you probably don't have the votes. So what are you gonna do? Are you just gonna go in there and just kind of take the high road and stuff?" I'm like, probably not. I'll probably go in there and Donnie the fuck out of it.
Yep.
I really wouldn't appreciate it if you wouldn't do that. No, I'm fairly certain I'm gonna Donnie the fuck out of it. I'm fairly certain. I'm 100% certain I'm gonna go in there and Donnie the fuck out of this. Well, what's exactly your plan? I'm like, well, I've recently made about 15 associate members. They're all gonna have some interesting public comments. And I just kind of like laid it out for him, like all the different things that I've been doing. And he's just like, well, they really don't appreciate you bringing in all these associate members. I'm like, so they
They
don't
don't
appreciate me
broadening
building the
the party?
base. Like these are registered Republicans.
Yeah.
Like you don't like it's not just about me here. These are registered Republicans that I've talked to, basically coming to a GOP meeting in the flesh. And now you're saying that this is a problem because they're gonna potentially like sway people to not vote the way that you want them to vote, which is me being gone. Fascinating, and then so then they vote me off, and then I get called like 2 weeks later because I took over the website. This is the Humboldt County Sheriff Department, Brad something or other from the tech side of and we're just calling to follow up on a case that we're working with the Humboldt GOP. They allege that you've stolen their website. Can you give us any information on that? I was like, they said that I stole their website? Yes, they say that you've stolen their website. Ah, yes. This is how it went. And I told them the whole story. I'm like, so if that's stealing to you, I don't know. I mean, if you want me to, I can come down there and show you that I literally have the receipts and I own it outright, So, I mean, I guess maybe they think this is stealing. Maybe they think that they can just vote people off and treat them like shit, and then they're not going to have any retaliation or anything that's going to.
And not to mention the man hours and the this website went from being a $20 domain to easily $3,000-$4,000 domain over the course of the months that he built this site. This site had resources. It had links to the national party, the state party. It had a full roster of the candidates on it and deep dives into them. I mean, it was a complex. The history of the Republican Party was.
Yeah,
I mean,
whole thing.
The whole thing about how it was started on anti-slavery, all that stuff, all the way back to the beginning. I mean, there was all this information.
Have it back for $5,000. That's what I said to him.
Yeah, so he said,
Smart.
yeah, you can buy it for $5,000.
And they
said, oh, he's trying to shake us down.
He stole it from us.
And they asked me, so they slipped and they asked me to go reach out to Donnie, and I was all, well, out of respect for Donnie, and I'm not a fan of censoring, I'll go ahead and just copy and paste what he wrote. Tell them to go fuck themselves. They can give me $5,000 for it. Is what he said. And so I put that in an email and sent it to him because I believe in freedom of speech. So
yeah, I said, tell them that I told them all they can collectively go fuck themselves, and if they want the website back, it's $5,000. I'm open to negotiations.
And Donnie, in the meantime, I would point out that, and I don't know if you really want to talk about this too much, but Donnie lost his job for being associated with the GOP.
True.
I mean,
I can talk about this under a specific condition. Yeah. I allege that I was the victim of workplace harassment, and which led to retaliation. And it's under that auspices, everything I say will be, is that I allege these things and that there's unlawful things that happen at my previous state place of employment. And that led directly to me being canned, which is essentially I was harassed, I was retaliated against, and discriminated against for my political views, for not wearing a mask, and for not taking the vaccine.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is cancel culture.
Yeah.
That is cancel culture at work. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it is. You destroy someone's livelihood because they have an opinion you do not agree with. That's all it is.
Makes you
welcome
passionate.
To the 21st century.
Makes you real passionate.
Sad.
Yeah.
Not okay. And what I fear about, coming out of the closet is my real name, So I think if I did get rid of my married name, I probably would, without fear. I would, but I can't do that to my family.
That's smart.
Better
That's
to
good.
play it safe.
Yeah, for sure.
Plus, I like what you've told me too.
People will figure it out.
You've told me this too, that you made a promise and you're going to keep it. And I actually really respect that. I respect that a lot. Yeah.
Okay, well, guys, we can wrap this up. I got to get out. We've done 3 hours.
Holy crap.
Yeah, we put in some work.
Wow,
do you guys want to plug all your stuff, where people can find you, your Twitter?
Yeah. Liberty Lady. That's _ Liberty Lady on Twitter.
We got lostcoastpopulist.com. lostcoastpopulist.com, and that's loco, LOCO, populist on all social media.
Okay. This was a lot of fun, guys. Thanks for coming on. I enjoy this.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling us back, dude.
Absolutely,
really
man. My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.